Hello there, Overwatch League viewers. Oh my goodness, we are on a new season now, aren't we? Season 4 of Overwatch League. It has been, what, 4 years now? Oh my gosh. And here we are with the Vancouver Titans. I am Harbleu, Anthony Ballo. Call me Harbleu, don't call me Anthony. But we have today's match. We have Vancouver Titans versus the Toronto Defiant, the Battle of Canada. Yesterday, we had the Battle of Texas, the Battle of the South. Really, who cares about Texas? It's all about the North. So, new season, like I just mentioned, new me being in a new position. We're winging it a little bit, but hopefully this all goes smoothly. And without further ado, let's talk about the Vancouver Titans lineup for today. So, a little bit different than last season. Last season, with COVID and everything else, the team was a little bit in flux with some roster swaps, but we have a few returning players from last season. We got Rolf, who is a support player. Personally, I've always been blown away by his Zen play from having played against him in ranked, seen him in like Owl. He has one of the best Zens out there, especially in terms of like Western Zens. But I don't think Zen's that good this current meta. I expect to see more Ana being played, maybe more BAP, which he's always been good on both of those. So I think Rolf's going to have a good showing this match. Shredlock also returns from last season as the main tank for Vancouver Titans. Another one where it seems like right now Winston is pretty hot in the meta. So I'd say expect to see a lot of Winston played, probably a decent amount of Ryan too, depending on the situation. But so far it is looking like mostly Winston is being played. And he's also normally one of the quieter ones on the team. Normally for most teams, the main tank is the one doing the shot calling, controlling the front line. In this situation, he's normally just goes along with the team, but still does make his own calls also. A tank, you always got to talk. And the other last returning player from last season we have is Dalton, one of the hit scan DPS players on the team. Him and Linkser, I believe, are the two starting the first match. So, two great hit scan players. Linkser also, like I said, he should be, I believe, the other one starting the first match. Both of them I have. Linkser, I think, he's in an Owl for every season now. Dalton was in last season. I think that was his first. So, should be a good showing from both of them. And then we do have the new additions to the roster for this season. We'll start it off with Fried Wiener. Sorry, Fried now. The name is shorter. Coming from Atlanta from last season. Previously had played in Contenders. I'll say the biggest thing I've seen about Fried is his D.Va is one of the best out there. I haven't seen, personally, a ton of his Zarya and some of the others, but D.Va is definitely very good in the current meta. And from what I've seen of his D.Va, and also from having played against, it is one of the most annoying out there. I expect him to eat quite a few grabs this game. Or if he's on Zarya, I expect him to also make quite a few good grabs also. And I mentioned it earlier, Linkser is the other starting for DPS for the first match, it sounds like. So it sounded like Vancouver's going to be going with like a double hit scan kind of loadout. Dalton and Linkser. I'd say expect to see some sort of like McCree. Almost without a doubt, you're going to see McCree. Maybe McCree Widow, McCree Ashe, McCree Tracer. I would say expect to see some sort of combination of those two for the first one. And then the last one I haven't listed yet, Teru, who is the other new signing, is actually from Korea, and I believe he's still there currently, so he's not starting in the first match, but he's the flex player. He's known to have one of the better Genjis out there, and I'd say expect to see him sometime in the matches tonight. Hopefully. He is playing, like I said, he's from Korea right now, so he is on a bit of a ping situation, but I've seen plenty of players dominate with like 150, 200 ping, so let's see. Did I touch on Fire? I think I might have skipped over Fire, actually. The other player coming over from Atlanta, he is the other support player to go along with Rolf. I don't think he played much in the league last season, but he's ground contenders for, as far as I know, he's been in for like multiple seasons. He was, like I said, on Atlanta last season, so in terms of support line, I think between Fire and Rolf, I'd say it's one of the better ones in Owl. Like, there might not be those big names out there like some people think of, but I think both of them are very solid at their roles and would probably surprise people. Same with the tank lineup. Honestly, I know there's probably people out there from Vancouver Titans last season who weren't super impressed or happy with the results. The lineup this season is looking much more well put together in terms of just player synergy and also just talent out there. So that's the roster we have that's all 7 of the players. Let me get a few points in here. We have going along with the stream, we have what's called Predict the Play with Sportsnet. So pretty much what that is you can predict what's going to happen throughout the match. Let's say like there's a team fight coming up. You get to predict sometimes who's going to win the next team fight, what's going to go on where. The one who ends up winning the most gets some prizes. Pretty cool stuff. I like winning stuff. And then also, we got merch plugs. 20% off on anything on the Vancouver TItans store. I'm still trying to get some myself. You know, I got LG stuff. One and the same, really, we say. But 20% off. I mean, you can't go wrong with that. What a deal. Other than that, though, like I mentioned, this is the Battle of Canada. Yesterday, we had the Battle of Texas. Who cares? Canada's where it's at. Vancouver, Toronto. Should be a good matchup between the two of them. I'm really, the fact that it's a new season, it's always hard to say who's going to be like the favorite going into matchups like this. Because personally, I haven't seen either team scrim. So based off of just pure talent alone, listen, I know I'm part of the Vancouver Titans stream here, but this is completely impartial. This is not a biased take at all, but I think I can see Vancouver Titans winning this. Like I said, last season, I know there were a lot of people who were a little disappointed with some of the results, but this one, it looks like they've really tightened up some of the holes in the roster and adjusted some of the things there to make it look a lot better. Also, hello, chat. My production is saying I'm allowed to look at you and read you guys, so excuse me, I shouldn't be drinking during this. When does the match start? I believe it starts in the next 5-10 minutes. So it says noon. With Overwatch League, there's always a little bit of leeway depending on when it actually does start, but hopefully within the next 10 minutes, we should have a good opening match for us with it. Let's see. I'm getting kicked off the stream. Listen, for the first one here, an impromptu thing, I say we're going good so far. So I will be back also again later at halftime after the first two maps to be able to, you know, actually give more analysis on what happened during the matches. But like I said, I haven't seen any of the scrims from either, so I'm going to be pretty much going in just as blind as you guys are into this. But obviously I've played against a lot of these players before, know like what some of them bring to the table. So like if I had to say it, my honest, true gut answer, 3-2 Vancouver Titans. If I had to say honest to gosh. What is my favorite color? I mean, blue, of course. Listen, blue, Vancouver, Harbleu, it really adds up for itself there, so. My smile has changed your life so much. I'll tell you what's changed my life so much. 20% off on the Vancouver Titans store. You can go in there, buy a new shirt, new hat, and that good stuff out there. 20% off. But what chair do I use? Is it from IKEA? Listen, this isn't my stream. We're not trying to talk about stuff to talk about me here. We're not here for me. We're here for the other guys who are going to be playing within the next 5 or 10 minutes. But yes, it is an IKEA chair, in case you were wondering. But alright. And actually, there was one part I forgot. Like I said, sorry, this is my first time doing this. I promise it'll also get better and more smooth as it goes on. But we do have the keys to the game for this match, too. So, I think I touched on a few of the points. It is obviously a new season, which means new meta, new heroes. Anyone who watched any of the matches yesterday, or has followed even like ranked to an extent, a lot of Winston has been being played lately, a lot of Anna. Brigitte has came out a lot more, which to me personally, I've been surprised with. Personally, I thought Brigitte was terrible, but I guess the Owl players know more than me about that, so I'm curious to see which one of the two plays her. Because I know I've seen Rolf play her in ranked before, but ranked is ranked. I could see either one of the two flexing onto it if they do end up running that. But I'd also mentioned it earlier, I believe both Linkser and Dalton are starting the first match for them, so I would definitely expect to see either some sort of double hit scan lineup or like a Tracer McCree thing for them. But I'm also definitely excited to see the Logix, Linkser, Logix, Dalton duel there, because Logix probably will be on hit scan too, Widowmaker, McCree, Linkser, same way. And I think that's going to be a big determination to see who comes out in some of these fights, just who can hit their shots more. Both of them are some of the better hit scans out there, so we'll have to see with that one. You guys are here for me? Why, thank you. Do the hand thing? I don't know if the producers would want me to do that, but maybe, no, it's not that here. You know, I'll do it once. I have all the people in my ear just got grossed out about that. So also, Yeah. Let's see. Merch float store we talked about. Predictions we talked about. Oh gosh, this is going on longer than I thought it would be. You guys are all pretty cool too, I guess. Let me look at let me get a quick look at the completely Toronto roster and do a head-to-head matchup on that. I know most of them on top of my head. Well, I personally, I should have had this up at the start, but let me look at it matchup-wise here. I think a big part that's going to come down to is the tank lineup battle. So I said Winston was played a lot. The way Winston works a lot in the current meta is he just takes a lot of space for the team and pretty much is slightly a distraction where he'll normally go in, use his bubble, force the other team to look at him, and then almost jump out and stay alive. And I know Sato is one of the better Winstons out there from Toronto Defiant. He's one of the better ones out there I've seen. So either him or Beast, one of the two will be on it. Really, both of them are good, but I could see Shredlock easily going toe-to-toe with him. I'd say, like I said, definitely I'd expect to see Winston, expect to see both Zarya and D.Va, but that being said, it is still the first week. There's a lot of teams who do run some weird stuff out of the gate just because really nobody knows what the best is yet. Sure, teams have scrimmed against each other, but until the season really actually gets a bit farther in, I'd say expect to maybe see some weird stuff also. But if you guys in chat, in YouTube, also have any questions for me throughout the stream or throughout here, or you want me to read your comment and say something, they've given me utmost leeway to see you guys and say hello and whatnot. It's a little bit more of a laid back vibe here we're going for. Still keeping it professional, of course, as always, but they're not keeping me on a tight leash where I can't say anything else I want. So Shredlock is underrated. I think actually a lot of the players on Vancouver Titans are underrated. Like I said, I think people still are probably going to be underestimating them from last season, which last season I know also they had quite a few players playing with 200 ping, a few different situations from Europe and whatnot. So I think we're going to see a lot more like the Vancouver Titans of old, Season 2. Even though it is a still entirely different roster, I expect to see them do much better this season, and I expect to see a lot of good results. Like I said, 3-2 I said, but the Battle of Canada always goes down to the wire, so it should be a close one. I gotta stop drinking on this. Oh my gosh, I'm treating this just like it's my normal stream. Oh my gosh. Did I see Shock bust out this Soldier yesterday? I caught most of that match, but we're not here for Shock, are we? Well, we can talk about that a little bit too. I do think Soldier is a situational pick where the fact that Vancouver will be running the double hit skin live to start with, I don't see them playing it. I highly doubt they run it. I think Shocks has always been known to run some more weird non-meta stuff just because they've had the talent to do it, and they like to sometimes just almost, I feel show off. But yeah, I'd say don't expect Soldier. I think Soldier's bad. Even if they ran him and might have made it work, I think either Ashe or McCree or Tracer is almost always better. The only real situation where I think Soldier might be a better pick is if it goes Gibraltar or some reason and you need the extra mobility to be able to sprint around and go take high ground. But even then, I think Ashe does the same thing but just does it better. Am I drinking Canadian Dry? Definitely not. Although, I mean, wait, this is a missed opportunity here. We'll come back for that one next one. I got a grocery store near me. Maybe I should stock up on some of that. Will I sub in for any of the matches? Listen, I'll never say never, but I've said this season I'm mostly more just focused on doing analysis stuff personally, just getting back into Overwatch League, because really last season with COVID and everything else, I personally didn't watch as much as I would have wanted to. So the fact that Vancouver Titans has me, involved in this, I'm definitely much more interested in general. And then next year with Overwatch 2, hopefully revitalizing everything. You never know. You never know. You're waiting for the Vancouver Titan? Ooh, wait, we have the house tour you're talking about? Also, wait, can they hear you, or am I just getting talked to? Okay, so it sounds like what I'm hearing is there'll also be a special tour of the Vancouver Titans facility and arena going on. So, personally, I've always been super interested in seeing how the different layouts different teams have. Some teams have gaming houses, some have separate apartments, some have whatnot. Especially with this season more than any, with still having COVID effects, different team locations and whatnot. It'll be I haven't seen again. I haven't seen them scrim. I haven't seen any of that. So personally, I'm pretty interested to see whatever layout they have for their place. Room with light. Oh my gosh, yes. I will say this is a weird thing for me. Normally, when I stream or do anything like this, I have my overhead light off. It's dark as heck in my room, but can't have that sort of environment right now. Am I going to be commentating throughout the battle? No. So I think I'm going on for another minute, and then we'll be actually just tossing over to the normal Owl streaming casters for the first 2 matches, and then at halftime, it'll come back to me for probably 3-5 minutes where I'll actually get, which will be much better, because then I'll actually be able to talk about the matches, use my big brain strategy, talk about what they could have done better, you know, who could have done what. So that's what I'm honestly most looking forward to. This is the part right here I was dreading, because, you know, it's a new season, there's always so much stuff to talk about, but once the matches are actually going on, I'm very excited to talk about all that. But sounds like we have less than a minute left until the match start, so let me just quickly again go over the roster one more time. We have on supports, we have Rolf and Fire. On tank, Shredlock and Fried Wiener. It used to be his old name, but you know how Owl was with... Is it again? Is he back to Fried Wiener? Let's go! Okay, he's back. Never mind. Back to Fried Wiener, which is good. I always miss that name. I don't know why he changed it, so I'm glad to hear he's back to Fried Wiener. And then on DPS, we have Linkser and Dalton starting, both hit-scan DPS players, but then also we have Teru, who may be subbing in for one of the games from Korea. Other than that, like I said, we have 20% off in Vancouver TItans store. You can predict the play with Sportsnet if you go to their website. You can predict what's going on. I will be back at halftime to be able to talk about the first couple maps, and I will see you guys all then. And hopefully we have a good match on our hands here.
Shredlock now into the back line and gets with the both support.
Up over the top, gets a double!
And here's a coalescence from the high ground for Rolf, and wow, the timing on that one looks so good.
Really.
And Fire gets 2! That is crazy! Time and a great stick from Dal. That's 3 from him! Yeah, Teru!
That's crazy, they make it work!
But you know, leave it aside. So yeah, bringing in Sado is obviously going to be a huge upgrade from last year for the Toronto Defiant. I still don't think that Sado has to prove himself outside of Philadelphia Fusion system. I mean, over at Philly, you're playing with the likes of Carpe, Funny Astro Alarm, right? Or well, now in this case, Hotman Toby. And so I still think that Sado has to prove himself this season. Can he function in the Toronto Defiant with a new teammates outside of Fusion's roster? That is what I'm looking out for in this first matchup of the day.
Yeah, I completely agree. I think Toronto has a lot of new pieces coming from all these different places. A couple of rookies, a couple of veterans, people that were benched on other teams. So I'm really excited to see how they're going to synergize behind a player like Sado, who is such a powerhouse main tank coming from Philly with KDG. So it'll be interesting. It's going to be hard to really tell where they stand. This is a great first match for them going up against the Vancouver Titans.
Yeah, I'm super excited for this one. I'm sure all the fans agree. Make sure to, you know, head on over to our pick'ems as well and put in those numbers. You only have a few minutes left before the match starts, and that means that it is now time for our predictions. I feel like I already know where the desk is leaning, but let's just go over it anyway. I am gonna be defiant on this one for pretty much all the reasons you just named. I am very excited actually to see that team doing well this season. Danny, where are you leaning? Is it Vancouver Titans or the Toronto Defiant?
Defiant, Lastro, Big Richard energy.
There you go.
It's all about
There it
Richard.
is. Couldn't have said it better myself. I'm going with the Defiant as well. I just think they have more star power on this roster.
Same here, Defiant. Sorry, Vancouver. It's Defiant for me.
Just so much agreement on the desk these days. It's literally just the second day. Anyway, that's it for the Watchpoint pre-show presented by State Farm. So now let's head on over to our casters for all the action and see what those two gentlemen think. Who is going to take it in our Battle of the Frozen Throne?
Yeah, and obviously there are a lot of people that actually had them in that upper echelon though. Like you asked Brandy has them up at 5th. He definitely feels like that this team is going to be in a great position. So sorry about that, everybody. I was muted for just a moment there, but we are back and ready to roll. This is hyped up as like a battle for the North, but I think what's more interesting, Matt, to examine in this matchup is how these teams are affected by the changes in the offseason, right? So you mentioned about Toronto, but Vancouver as well. They do make a couple of changes, right? The team last year, if we recall, is previously a star-studded lineup that that dominated in the league for quite some time. That all falls apart. The team very quickly has to put together a roster and try and get out onto the battlefield and make things happen. And look, it looked rushed for us. I think they go 7-18 or 7-19 across the entirety of the season. So very difficult for them. But now they've actually had a chance to build a system instead of just trying to cobble something together.
Right, and I mean, they do have some nice pieces, Vancouver. They did end up losing really kind of their biggest player last year, Shockwave, to the Philly Fusion. We can take a look at the Toronto Defiant roster, though, as they make some big upgrades. So KDG comes over from Philadelphia, brings over some other players with him, Sato and Hisu specifically. They get Michelle from Seoul Dynasty, where I was a big fan of Michelle when he was on Seoul. They decided not to play him for whatever reason, but now you'll see him mostly as a starter. But when you upgrade in terms of the main tank position from where they were to somebody who was top 3 last year, I think you're going to see big improvements.
Absolutely. These are two elements of the Philadelphia Fusion roster in Hisu and Sato that were definitely considered to be some of their hottest prospects. Sato comes in. I think everyone had this idea that Sato was such an aggressive player. He overextended all the time. But in reality, he really was quite a survivalist when it came to how many deaths he sort of suffered. Hisu brought in as this young prodigy, right? Hearing from the Fusion unit last year, they were like, this guy is going to be one of the best players in the league. This guy is the real deal. When Hisu got his opportunity to play, though, it seemed like it wasn't quite clicking for him and for the rest of his team. So we're looking to see him continue to grow in this role now in his sophomore season of the Overwatch League. But the Vancouver Titans, very different look for them. They bring in Finland's gifts to esports, Linksa, who languished, frankly, on that Houston Outlaws roster for quite some time and really, was a shining light on an otherwise pretty difficult period in that franchise's history, man.
Yeah, no, they get Fried Wiener, FRD. We allowed.
You can say Fried Wiener now, Pogchep.
Yeah. So he comes in the off tank role, but I'm excited to see Linkser back in like a starting position in the hit scan. We were looking over some stats earlier. I mean, he's just put up tremendous numbers over the history of Overwatch, specifically on the Widowmaker at a league level, as the first map in this series will be Busan. So maybe you get to see some Ashe or some Widow play, maybe even some McCree from Linkser.
And bear in mind as well, this is a team that fielded KSA at the off-tank role last year, the Titans, and he looked quite good. But this roster benefits from, I think, the Atlanta Reign shedding some of the extraneous elements to that team. Vancouver Titans bring them on board straight away. They bring Fire and Fried Wiener on. They're teammates with a decent history together, and they keep the core of Dalton and Shredlock and Rolf. Of course, Rolf being the veteran on this roster. Competed in one of the very first Team Canada offerings quite some time back. This is indeed a battle for the North. These two teams very much changed, but last time they went head-to-head, it was a 5-map affair. Very close story here, and we didn't get to talk about players like Nice and Ansunjae as well. Nice obviously featured on that T1 roster in Korean Contenders and really shone despite that roster having some difficulty. And if you're an Element Mystic fan, you'll know Ansunjae.
I tell you what, I think Toronto is a roster that has really gone under the radar in terms of rankings and whatnot in NA. I think they really can make some noise. And for the Titans here, early on, looks like you see Rolf on the Batiste, and Linkser will be playing the Mei here. So Mei, McCree for both sides. Really pretty similar lineups for both teams here.
Immediately there'll be some trading as Sato wants to get the hammer dirty, but he's going to have an immortality field deployed to keep him up. Michelle there, you can see off to the right, playing the off angle on that D.Va, just trying to prolong that shield as long as possible, but eventually Sato gets burned down. The backline of the Defiant took a little while to get online. They find Rolf, and now they're able to fight back with some damage.
And they were able to keep Sato alive for so long. He was so low there with the immortality field, and Michelle actually goes around a Mei wall. Sunjae goes over the top. He's able to pick up a kill, and really opens things up there for the Toronto Defiant, and they'll be able to get the point first.
A really good opening, despite losing Sato early in that fight. That's when the backline of the Defiant really sort of comes alive. And that'll be a Deadeye online here for Hisu. Someone who was sort of touted for, you know, being a real Sombra aficionado last year, and Carpe often filled the hit scan position on that Fusion roster, but we knew what Hisu was capable of. Okay, you can hear that amplification matrix in the background. That's from Lastro, so the entirety of the Titans have to just play in this very small gap here to try and stay out of line of sight. It's just not enough room for them, frankly. Lastro's able to get rid of Linkser, and that immortality field has finally gone down, and so do the rest of the Titans. So far, this is one-sided.
And it's tough when you lose that Mei first. You lose the Mei wall to split players off. Just the survivability of Mei and be able to brawl up close. Like the freeze is so huge, as we saw Linkser freeze Sato at the beginning, which forced out the immortality field. Losing Linkser first there is tough.
I mean, you need that Mei. I mean, you have Ice Block. You really should be trying to stay alive later in these fights. And oh my, okay. Linkser goes for a Blizzard, but is actually interrupted as he tries to launch Snowball. Sato hit that Earth Shatter, and a one-player Earth Shatter is worthwhile if it's going to stop a Blizzard for sure.
And now Lastro has another Amp Matrix for this fight. It's going to look eerily similar, where he probably puts it down in the corner here. As they wrap around, this will be a Deadeye.
Oh, Matthew.
Going to connect with Rolf. You get the DMAC here as Toronto is rolling.
This does not look like a fair fight. This is not a pitched battle so much as it's just a beating right now. 78% to 0. Dalton tries to come in there with a Deadeye, instantly blown up by Hisu, comfortably sat in the backline. Another Lastro amplification matrix makes life very difficult for the Titans. They have Sound Barrier here and an Earth Shatter to work with, but so far the Defiant have shut down every Titan's ultimate that could make a difference. Beat. That is messed up.
Bomb there.
Nicely done by Michelle there. Fire does go down. Is able at least to get the Sound Barrier off, but again, as soon as you use an ultimate against this team, you get taken down. Fried's able to fire back and get Hisu with the self-destruct, and Linkser finally gets rid of Sato, but Michelle's on the point now. Rotates to the high ground. Rolf has no help. He takes out the lion's share of the healing just by identifying, but Batiste's playing on his own. That does not bode well in a later fight for the Vancouver Titans, and as you might expect, they start to run out of gas here. Not one fight won by Vancouver. Toronto are leagues ahead, and now it's just a wrecking ball to stall for the time being, as Fried is going to live up to his name. Maybe the opposite, actually, as Nice puts him on ice.
That was one-sided, as one-sided as it gets, where Toronto comes out. They really dominate every single fight throughout that first point. So we'll see if Vancouver decides to maybe change some compositions up, try something a little bit different in their approach, where at least as far, that's what it looks like. Dalton hovering Symmetra, probably to get them out of the spawn, obviously a little bit faster. Maybe you see him play Tracer. Linkser on the long-range hit scan, Dalton on the Tracer makes a bit of sense.
And I feel like this definitely allows Linkser to demonstrate his mechanical prowess a little bit more than the Mei pick. It's always an interesting one. This is the kind of map where Mei's punished a bit more with some more of these more open sight lines. So we'll have Ashe. Hisu played Ashe a lot last season on the Fusion and was entirely serviceable on that role. And Nice, I mean, is a Tracer player. Genji, Tracer, Farah, the big picks for Nice. So the Defiant here definitely have the firepower.
And we get to see Hisu on that long-range hit scan. He kind of took that role from Carpe towards the end of the season last year for the Philly Fusion. Like you mentioned, we were talking about him as a Sombra player, but he came in, played a lot of Widowmaker, a lot of Ashe later on in the season. Yeah. So we'll get a good look at two very strong hit scan players.
Oh, there it is! Philadelphia Esports makes his entry. Good start here for the Vancouver Titans, and Linkser already looks much better playing something more suited to his very particular set of skills. And with that first pick, there's no pressure on the backline of the Titans, so they just saunter up to the point.
Are they going to be able to maybe make some... now that you lose Hisu, it's like if Hisu lives, maybe you're able to make something out of it out of the spawn. Actually, he gets Shredlock there. And he already took out two players before that, so maybe Toronto's able to come back a little bit faster, make something happen. As Sato rolling around on the outside here, but we talked about Linkser and some of his stats a little bit earlier on in the Widowmaker. I think people forget, because he hasn't really been a mainstay in like a lineup in a very long time, like how good of a hit scan player he is. I know when you look at some of the stats in the league and the history, I know him and Carpe up near the top on the Widowmaker specifically. Linkser being able to bring that type of play to a team on those long-range hit scans will make a difference.
Yeah, I mean, he's like I think we'll look at it later on, but he's right up there in terms of all-time final blows.
Yeah.
To be fair, he was in the league at the very beginning. So that is one thing worth pointing out here. But the Defiant, it's 2 picks from Hisu to start off the fight. And I've seen this Wrecking Ball Sigma composition for both teams is a little chaotic, but the Defiant are able to remain on the point here.
And now Defiant, when they take the point back, they're going to have a ton of ultimates for this next fight. Gravitic Flux, you'll have Minefield, Pulse Bomb, Bob. A lot online here for the Defiant. So you think this is probably going to be another hold coming from them in this next fight.
Dalton is hunting. He's just sort of relaying some of the information he's gained, or lack thereof, rather, to his team. Now the Titans know where the Defiant are going to be coming from, but more than the information, getting the kills is it? Oh my! Dalton gets a free haircut care of Hisu there. Nicely done. Hisu dominating on the Ash so far, and Nice is going to compound the issue further, hitting Fried with the Pulse Bomb just as he goes up. The Gravitic Flux also used to make the Titans unable to avoid that damage.
I love the player cams. Like when we're on with Dalton and he ends up dying there after the Pulse Bomb, his face is just like the face of every Tracer player who goes in and just gets like 360 headshot. Just like, wait, what? Like, how did, like, I don't think that was supposed to happen. But yeah, he goes in, tries to get a Pulse Bomb. They're setting up a play going on to Hisu, but not able to pick that up. They did end up using Gravitic Flux, Minefield, and Pulse Bomb during that fight, Toronto, so they just have the Bob to stall things out and the support ults.
Remember, Tracer can actually be one-shot headshot by Ash, so that's why you need to be very, very careful if you're in Dalton or Nice's position right now. Sato goes down early, and he's just able to get back and avoid the pile driver. Bob is going to get sent to the point now, and Transcendence from Lastro. Perhaps miscommunication there. Maybe Lastro expects the Defiant to actually fight for the point, or maybe they could have with their Transcendence, but they are not in position.
Even with the Bob, it seemed a little bit late in this sense that you would have wanted the Bob to contest the point. They're going to get a kill on a Dalton, though, and then they're going to wrap. They're going to try and push in now that they have Sato.
And to be fair, Dalton would have been able to keep him alive even with the Transcendence in play there. Unsu J very far forward here on the Brigitte as Lastro gets sent up. Accretion connection, and Lastro is down. Try looking comfortable here as he gets rid of the back line of the Toronto Defiant, and the Titans now 69%, nice and counting.
Well, hello.
It's a much closer game than the first point. So Vancouver looks a bit more settled in on this composition as you get Linkser on the long-range hit scan. You know, not a bad Mei player, but this is really where he kind of like, you know, earns his money, so to speak, right? This is what he's known for. Toronto, they'll have another crack at this. It's just really one-fight territory for either team.
Dalton has to pick up the mini health pack there. Under pressure from Sato. Nice also getting involved, but takes a big hit. Rock gets hit with a pile driver, though. That's looking a bit dangerous, but the accretion was great from Friedwiener. He's still going to fall, though. Unfortunately, Sato got him with the pile driver. It's a player advantage, or at least it was for the Toronto Defiant, but Dalton is holding it down. 99-98 right now, and Lynx are finally really getting involved here. Takes down Hisu. Michelle just has to stall for... Oh my god, that accretion flick was absolutely dirty. Still just enough time for a recall there from Dalton, though. But Michelle's really given a good account of himself there. Buys plenty of time, enough at least for Sato to get to the point. But the Defiant need to keep this going. Sato goes down now. Dynamite used, but recall already in progress for Nice, so he doesn't get fried. It's going to be Nice to fall after an unsuccessful pulse. And it's going to be one apiece.
All right, so Vancouver bounces back pretty strong, which is such an odd first 2 rounds. Vancouver puts up basically no fight on Mecha base, and then coming back into the next point, they look really strong. This is probably a little bit of a worry for Toronto, because a lot of what the Titans just played, they could play again here. You can play Ash here again. You can play some Tracer. Lynx are now hovering the McCree. So this is what I thought they would kind of do. Have the Lynx are on the McCree, Dalton on the Tracer. So they'll be able to pull this out for our final point here on Busan.
In fairness, that was well done by the Titans, considering that Dalton was being controlled for the first half of that round by Hisu. Every time he peeked around a corner, he was getting shot in the head. So it's going to be Tracer. Okay, so it's going to be Zarya Ball for the Defiant, Sigma Wrecking Ball here for the Vancouver Titans, and McCree for Linkser. Always a pleasure to see this one brought out.
This will give a little bit more damage for the Defiant, with Michelle getting charged up on the Zarya. Also a little bit more survivability for Sato when he goes in deep on the ball. Sigma just is so good at personal survivability. We saw it on the point there at the end with Michelle in the previous one, where he was able to just stay alive for so long alone. Nice on the point. Trying to just draw some players back, not really intending to try and take it.
No,
there.
he immediately got body shot by Linkser there, so he actually has to be a little bit more mobile. But the rest of the Defiant doing good work. Nice. Didn't actually really have to be part of that spearhead push. Shredlock, though, getting a lot done on this Wrecking Ball in general across these last couple of rounds. Ansun J falls, maybe a Tracer duel here. Sade trying to get involved. Dalton trying to go for the mini. He gets it. Forces a recall from Nice.
It's huge that he actually does take the point, because Vancouver, they get a bunch of kills, they start to wrap back towards the point, but respawners, Tracer, obviously very difficult to kind of get off of the point. So this is going to allow Toronto to build up some really early percentage, even after, kind of trading or at least being down in that first fight.
Sato's still alive, somehow, still not dying here. There's no burst healing available with either of these support compositions, so the tank staying alive is just so crucial. Sato just avoiding damage instead of getting healed, which I guess is effective healing in some universe. And Hisu has a comfortable perch here. The Titans again. It's hard to top up these tanks after they take a big hit. So we see so much like touch and go. So many tanks just having to get out and sit in the backline for a couple seconds to return.
In playing McCree with the Sigma, for the Titans, you're definitely a little bit more brawly, right? You're not able to access the Ashe up on the high ground. It was a Deadeye used by Linkser. It's canceled right away, as this will be the Transcendence from Rolf, trying to keep everybody up as a big ground pound comes in from
Yeah,
Sato.
they couldn't get Linkser in time, which is, I mean, that's awful. He's really the one you need to be alive inside that Transcendence. Feels like Lastro really just matched Transcendences there. But this buys time. Toronto's still in control, and then they have a Graviton in the next fight. There has to be something huge here for the Titans. They need to find a way to somehow carve Michelle away from the Defiant quickly.
And I wonder if you could have played the Ashe again if you're the Titans here. Oh, you lose the McCree.
That's across the
That
map.
is brutal.
That is...
It's a big pick off by Lastro there. I mean, that may be, map deciding.
Lastro has to be careful. Those hyperspheres were pretty lethal. Dalton, I mean, fair enough. Tries to capture the point here, but Nice is just sent to deal with him comfortably. And there is Michelle. Has that Graviton Surge, fires it off, and it's pretty much elementary from there on out. Good start for the Toronto Defiant. The Titans give them a bit of a fight in that second round on Sanctuary, but still, it is going to be a Toronto Defiant win here. And really solid performances, I feel like, from the backline of the Defiant. Lastro, really impressive.
Yeah, all around, strong performance from Toronto. A very odd first map, though, of Busan. One really close point, two that were just absolute blowouts. So I wonder if we'll see the Titans kind of go more towards what we saw them be competitive with some more long-range hit scan, whether it be, they put Linkser or somebody else on like a Hanzo, an Ashe, maybe try and pull out the McCree again. But those seem to be the things that were working for the Titans there in map number one.
Links are looking good on the hit scan. Fridwin is still impressing on that off-tank role. There's plenty to look forward to if you're a Titans fan, so stick around, see if they can bring things back in map number 2.
The Overwatch League is brought to you by T-Mobile, America's largest and fastest 5G network. Set your sights on the competition with T-Mobile. And by Indeed. We help people get jobs. The Overwatch League is brought to you by Coca-Cola, the official refreshment of the Overwatch League, and by IBM, the official cloud and AI partner of the Overwatch League.
Hi, I'm Matt Morello. The Overwatch League and T-Mobile have given me this time to talk about something that's near and dear to my heart. Overwatch League Perks by T-Mobile. Perks are a special bonus for tuning into the Overwatch League and are a fun way to earn in-game rewards while watching your favorite Overwatch League teams compete. This year, you'll also earn great perks like skins and sprays for tuning into tournament weekends. But lately, there's been a dark scourge on our channel. Spamming the chat with exclamation point drops and exclamation point tokens does not in fact earn you any Overwatch League perks. The way to earn Overwatch League perks is by clicking down below and connecting your YouTube account to your Battle.net account. It's just that easy. Do you or a loved one feel the urge to spam exclamation point drops or exclamation point tokens in the Overwatch League chat? Stop it. Get some help. Click right here. You can start earning Overwatch League perks by T-Mobile right now. Don't blow it. I'm Matt Mr. X Morello. Thank you for watching.
Requires Overwatch. Centers must be redeemed in-game on or before 12/31/2021. Terms and conditions apply. See official rules for details.
Thank you, Matt. Very cool. Yes, for the opening weekend, you can earn 5 league tokens for every hour that you watch. And, of course, a spray designed by our very own desk host, Soigschwind, for watching 4 hours all weekend long. 4 hours all weekend long. Easy clap, ladies and gentlemen, especially if you're already locked into this match. If you're a Canadian Overwatch fan, then you'll be pleased. Either way, hopefully. Let's have a look at our power rankings with IBM Watson. We'll get onto that in just a second. And obviously the Defiant benefit from bringing in Sato, who had a very good year last year, ranked 4th, as far as this ranking is concerned. So, I mean, that is above people like Fury, Fate, Fearless, and Hanbin. Pretty big deal.
Oh, I mean, he was a rock star last year. I think even going into last year, everybody was kind of wondering, like, well, what is Sato? And I think a lot of people looked at, his play and just inconsistent. But I think the one thing you looked at with Sato and you knew all of the time, it's like just his mechanical skill was tremendous on all of the tanks. And last year he had the team around him to put him in position to, play at a consistent level. And I think he's going to carry that over into this year. I think he's a player that probably a lot of people aren't talking about enough, in that he's going to be very, very good for Toronto.
Here's an exciting little substitution here. Teru comes in for Lynx. Now, again, fans of Korean contenders may be familiar with his name, as he featured on O2 Blast's contenders winning roster. Again, and it comes in, as a player who's sort of known for playing a lot of the projectile DPS roles. So he's substituting obviously with Lynxer as a hit scan player. So we might actually see Dalton play a little bit more of that hit scan. We could even see things like Echo on this particular map as well. Plenty of different compositions to expect for Eichenwalde, which will be our next map.
I just want to say, I think the Zoe spray is great. I don't know why she has a problem with my art style, My art style's pretty good.
I mean, can I be honest with you, Matt? It looks like someone yours looks like someone attached some hair clippings to an ice cream. It looks a bit haggard, I'll be honest with you.
I mean, that's not very nice.
Listen, art is subjective. And so is aesthetics.
It's true.
You know what I mean? So you could, like, I'm not much of an art critic. I mean, look, you've seen the shirts over there, right? I don't really have that high expectations for aesthetics.
Look, with the way, I mean, with your fashion sense, you shouldn't really be able to critique anybody.
The focus groups got back to me and said I need to counteract my just over the top masculinity with flowers. So here we are. I'm just doing what I'm told, bro.
It's true. Now, I also saw on Twitter, I believe, that if the Titans go to Game 5, there's some type of breadsticks thing you can get.
Breadsticks?
So I'm sure
cutting carbs,
yeah,
bro.
I'm sure everybody now in Canada is hoping this one goes the distance.
You know what?
So I hope for all the people out there who want the breadsticks that it goes the distance.
I hope you get that bread, gamers. I can't have it though, but I'll be with you in spirit here. The Defiant will be on the attacking side. Hisu, I mean, if we get the Widowmaker here, maybe just for a time, he might just grapple up here, have a look, see what he can find, and go back down. I mean, a decent matchup against the McCree, but the sidelines here for attackers aren't great until Sato creates a bunch of space. Yeah, that's why we get to switch up here. McCree and May for both sides. Teru will be on the May. Yes, Dalton is on hit scan.
Yeah, just trying to go over the top of the building, maybe connect with a Widow headshot also to see if they have like kind of a Pharah playing around the pole. Potentially could have gotten a pick off, but mirror matchup here for both teams as both teams playing this aggressive rush style.
Yeah. Friedwiener very much in the mix here. Sato's forced back, his shield is broken, and I mean, Fried goes deep. He thinks he can actually get rid of Sato, but the healing of Batiste really is quite insane. Hisu, good roll, and the flash. Dalton wins out that duel. SMSing each other, just not in the way you maybe expect. Nice little clean-up here for Vancouver. They hold well. A lot of pressure on Sato, Matt, early.
Well, it's the same thing that we saw at the beginning of Busan, right? He goes really low. They have to use Immortality Field early. That's a huge advantage when that happens for the Titans. They can just start to pressure him down some more. Shredlock ends up using a Shadow towards the end of it. Maybe he didn't even need it. Where Toronto, now you'll come in with an Amp Matrix. You'll come in with Shatter. You can maybe make a play, at least get some type of control using the Amp Matrix, get closer to the point.
Sato. Earth Shatter in tow. Shredlock not nearly close to it. We'll see, yeah, obviously Nice is looking for a big May. What's disgusting, Sato? Unbelievable. A gigantic Earth Shatter, kind of tempered by the fact that Michelle's picked off after he gets desuited here. Here's that Blizzard though, and Nice is going to have to ice block this one. I don't know if Sato gets away. No, he's going to be frozen, but he's just playing a ridiculous off angle very far away from the rest of his team, and is able to take Rolf out of the equation. That is a very bad sign for Vancouver.
Yeah, Hisu was doing that earlier a bit as well, taking these off angles as the big Shatter from Sato allows him to take the point. It's FRD not able to get over to the top to contest. So Toronto may decide to chase this, pick up some kills. These kills would be huge here because then you can't play close to the gate if you're the Titans.
Yeah, Lucio's still in tow for the Titans though, so they're able to get at least far enough away to avoid being staggered out. That Earth Shatter, by the way, yeah, rather unassisted. I don't think there's a McCree flash behind that. It's just great timing that we saw from Sato just to dominate that Reinhardt battle. Still, now we see the Titans, they get a player advantage, they want to go forward, but that amplification matrix could be a bit of a problem. They throw down the immortality field, it gets removed pretty quickly, and yes, this is blown up in the Titans' face, literally in the case of Rule.
Yeah, but you still have the gate going to be open here. I mean, so they take this fight up close, and it's still going to buy them some time. So it takes a little bit for the gate to open, the cart to move again. So by playing that far up for Toronto, you're for the Titans, you're probably going to get a fight at least at this first corner again. So really kind of extending how long this goes from point A to B.
I wonder how quickly we see the Titans sort of elect to drop down here. They're playing for the high ground and not from the bridge.
Have Blizzard, so yeah, if you had Blizzard, you'd probably be a little bit more aggressive here, but you get in a position for a Deadeye, yeah. Oh, get boosted up.
There it is, though. Great amplification matrix thrown in the mix, and there's really not much Dalton could do. They'll take the Diva kill, though. I think the Defiant were playing just now as if they were expecting to run into another Blizzard from Teru. They played back a fair way. That's the ice wall. Okay, starting to get sandwiched briefly. He's able to get out of that, but Teru really wants to try and free someone up. That's a Deadeye from Hisu. Right in the back corner here. Nothing from that one. Shatter from Sato. No connection.
And they push up straight through that Amp Matrix. The Amp Matrix isn't in a great position there for the Titans, so we're able to push on through and negate any type of damage that could come out from it. Sato will take out Shredlock, and the Amp Matrix goes down from Lastro, but aggressive play by Fire will take him out in the back, so not going to get anything out of that. But who is Hisu again on these like flanks and off angles? He makes it up to the top of the castle. A lot of pressure being put on. You might be able to at least get the cart moving a little bit here if you're Toronto.
That is excellent from Fire. Really beelining towards Lastro as he was one of the players that stood to benefit the most from his amplification matrix being in play. And they could have again punished the Titans for trying to stagger and play forward. Excellent response from the new Lucio addition here for the Titans. Now the bridge is being controlled by Vancouver. They've got a Deadeye here for Dalton, who wants a smooth sightline, but Michelle will be playing this annoying off angle, so he'll have to keep his eyes to the left, as that Diva will want to eat up those Deadeye shots.
So both teams with Blizzard. This is going to get nasty. Everybody going to be frozen. Immortality fields from both sides thrown out. It's an Amp Matrix that comes down from the Titans, but it looks like Toronto able to speed boost out, gets it up a little bit better here, so they lose fire. That's going to be tough. As the payload will start to get moving towards point B.
That's a boop from Ansun Jay that actually makes it impossible for Fire to hit the ground and break line of sight from the self-destruct happening on the high ground. So nice little setup. Ansun Jay just booped him off the edge, but of course you're sort of just spinning in midair and you don't have that level of control. The Toronto Defiant here. Again, keep sticking Hisu in these flanking positions. Shatter on the wall! You hate to see it. Shredlock gets nothing for it. Sound barrier now for the Toronto Defiant. They are going to steamroll this advantage. Ansun Jay gets rid of Dalton here. Sato's down, but still Hisu's in the back line. The firing squad has free reign, and that is a risky move from Rolf. Eventually, Michelle finishes that kill. Hisu, for a time, will have the Cone of Silence placed in front of him, but it'll be the Defiant. Over 2 minutes. Last threat to the attack.
They'll have a Shatter and a Deadeye coming around one of these corners. As I know Sato hit a huge one on point A, but now a big Shatter kind of completes the map for them. So the Titans, I believe it was Shredlock, comes out, uses the Shatter at the beginning there, didn't really get anything.
Up on a
They even tried to
now.
self-destruct, yeah.
Okay, Deadeye, Ansun Jay
That's
trying to be cute there, I think it's safe to say. Still, speed not necessary for the Defiant. They're already pushed far forward. They're going to get Teru at least to make it a 1-for-1 trade. Rolf and Fire got hit with that Earth Shatter, but there's just enough time for Fire to get up and get the beat going. Immortality Field not being touched right now. The Titans have too many other things to shoot, but Hisu's the one connecting the shots. Dalton goes down, and this is a team that loses their Lucio at the start of the fight match. They don't seem to care. It doesn't seem to bother them. And now the Blizzard give themselves a winter wonderland as they try and approach the throne.
Oh, and it looks like a boop on the Shredlock when he was going for the Shatter again, so it doesn't get anything, but the Shatter from Sato was huge. He connects with Teru and both supports. They lose the Mei, and then I think when both supports down, enough damage comes in that they're a little bit worried, obviously, about keeping everybody alive. They use the sound barrier right after that. They use Amp Matrix. In Toronto, they just back out. They kite it a little bit. Vancouver gets nothing for those ultimates, and then Toronto uses a speed boost, engages right back in, finishes them off. So completes the map with 1 minute and 13 in the time. Bang, pretty good time there for the Toronto Defiant.
Even though Fire is able to pick himself back up and get a sound barrier, there's just way too much going on for the Defiant. And they have an Immortality Field that is not really placed around a corner. It's actually just kind of out in the open. But the Titans seem like they're, I don't know, maybe their bandwidth was so heavily taxed that they didn't really have the time or wherewithal to get rid of the Immortality Field, which is a problem for them. Obviously, they're not going to find any kills. So decent for the Toronto Defiant. They get snarled up a little bit as the Vancouver Titans. They try and mess with some staggered timings. Just after that first point gets taken, they just play aggressively. They, like you mentioned, Matt, they kind of imp into the Defiant, and knowing that it will take some time for the door to open, the portcullis to come up, so they get kind of a free fight. Still though, 1 minute 13 time makes respectable here. Let's see what the Titans can pull out on the attacking side, and they may well have the McCree and May combo once more.
I saw a clip of it. Sato over here to the right. Yeah, he's trying to line up a fire strike coming out of the spawn door. Charges on back to the rest of the team. So I'm interested on the offensive side, Mitch, what kind of positions and angles that Dalton takes from Hisu in the last round. So a lot of different off angles, putting a lot of pressure on the opposing McCree. Does Dalton go for the same type of play as Shredlock gets caught on the wrong side of that May wall?
Immortality Field is up, and that's a good May wall there from Teru, a defensive one that will allow them to get Shredlock out and alive. And look at the ultimate percentage on Rolf here. That's just how much of a beating Vancouver took. He is 64% to his first ult.
It's great that he's getting towards the ult. I'm sure he would much rather his team doesn't take that beating, though. So it's going to be, they're going to all get over the May wall here. So that's actually pretty good for the Titans. They're taking so much damage, though. So they end up getting Sato, though. Good Immortality Field there from Rolf.
Yeah, still the trade, though. Nice. Okay, the Blizzard tries to get a little bit of extra freeze on Teru, and Ansun Jay's going to finish the job. Hisu just lopes back into the fray. Flashes from everybody. And the Defiant actually stabilize after maybe a miscalculation. They throw the May wall up and think, okay, we can isolate Shredlock. Then the Titans just come over the top there. Of course, the Exo boots for Rolf definitely helped him get that healing that was required.
Yeah, and Toronto have both support ultimates here on defense. Where the Titans, I mean, I was going to say, no Shatter available, as Sato's going to have that. No Blizzard yet, so a little bit behind on some of these big ultimates that can change fights.
The Maywall, that's annoying. That's going to be tough to break as well. Treadlock somehow still alive. The Immortality Field from Rolf is going to help with that, but look at this. The Defiant say, actually, no, we need to go aggressive now. They threw up an Amp Matrix, so you can see they were initially planning to sit back a little bit, but as soon as they get that pick, it is go, go, go.
Yeah, they split off Shredlock, and they try and use the Amp Matrix to burn him down. He gets out. But then they speed on forward, and that's a huge shatter from Sato. Connects with 3. Sato's already back up to 77% on shatter. After just using it in that fight. The amount of damage he was able to put down that small hallway. They may have no idea that he's going to come up on another one this quickly.
Yeah, I think at Fire Strike value, again, he gets another 7% from that one. Again, Dalton.
He may have one in this fight coming up.
Yeah, there's no way you track this, right? It'll be like Johnny versus, I think, Gesture, like way, or it was a Fisher, actually, yeah, getting ulted 3 times in one fight.
Yeah.
Sato goes down, though, so that Earth Shatter off the table. Nice, can't even use the Blizzard as well, so it looks like the Defiant are going to concede this point now after... Isn't that funny? They really paved the way. It was some very good fundamentals defensively in this round, and then just get a couple players blown up, and Sato is here, but it may be a little bit too late. Yeah, Michelle can't really contest that at all.
Yeah, I was going to say, it looked like Michelle thought they could actually get through. The Maywall comes in, it's pretty big there for Teru, but potentially could have waited, let them take it, and then play up and aggressive. Kind of like how we saw the Titans do, where the gate doesn't open. Now with all these ultimates, though, and you're waiting on Michelle, you probably play this high ground and you're able to use the Blizzard coming down onto the cart.
Nicely done by the Titans, and maybe just a little sloppy from Toronto in that last fight. They're going to drop down pretty quickly, though. Hisu, okay, 2 Maywalls, that's maybe a little bit too much. You can't see a whole lot. Sato gets blown up pretty instantly, and this Blizzard's going to make it even worse. Okay, they're going to try and fight this without Sato here. Teru gets knocked back into the Blizzard. Rolf is the first target, though, and he goes down. Dalton's also missing, and this is bad for the Titans. The Defiant have a chance to retake control here.
Oh, nice shot there from Hisu. So that was FRD trying to get back in the mech, but these are huge fights when you can win these on Eichenwalde, and you can play really close, and this is as close as you can get to Defiant. Push all the way up. Maybe they thought they were able to pick off like Dalton or something with a Maywall and split him off, but Rolf with the Amp Matrix here for Vancouver. They need to use this to obviously put down some damage, but also give them some space to operate around the payload.
Yeah, here's that Matrix. Maywall very quickly placed up there, and that gives the Defiant enough time to get back around the corner, so that ultimate gets shut down in its entirety. Deadeye from Dalton. No targets. Maybe Michelle on the high ground. Defense Matrix is there. He's hoping someone peeks from the left side, but he doesn't find the kill. Rolf again goes down first. Now it's traded for Sato. But where's all the healing going to come from Shredlock? Nicely done by Fried. And of course, the Maywall there from Teru means that Shredlock gets a kill without taking fire.
Toronto's still done a really nice job, though, just burning this clock. You know, 1:39 goes pretty quick here towards this end of point B. He's setting up for a Deadeye. Is he gonna play with the team, or he's gonna go on one of these flanks?
He's asking for Fried Arena to come and collect here, I think.
Well, it's both Blizzards in play. Maywall comes through.
Blizzard here.
Not gonna get anything.
Teru has to ice block this one. Dreadlock can't be saved. Lastro eventually goes down, though, so now it's the Defiant that are playing the rest of this fight without their Baptiste. Teru was forced out of position, but still with Hisu going down now, there's all to play for here for the Vancouver Titans. This is more time burn, and a mini Diva is enough to distract in the backline. The Titans have to push forward now, and quickly, sheepishly, the Defiant are going to try and back away, but it's going to be tough to escape this. Sato is in deep trouble.
Yeah, you're going to lose Sato here too, which... This is going to make it very difficult to touch and contest. Like, do you want to invest a sound barrier on your Diva to keep them alive on the cart, thinking it's enough? Yeah, no, they're going to back out. Well, and they also have the luxury to Toronto, right? They complete the map. They have a minute plus in the time bank. 2 minutes to go here as we move inside. You take a fight here close to the choke. You force the Titans to use some ultimates. We get towards the end of the map, and 30, 40 seconds left, you can stall that out pretty easily, especially if you hold on to some of these support ults. So Toronto's still in the driver's seat.
Realistically, not a lot of time for the Titans to finish the map from this position. And Matrix for Rolf, he gets some value. His own Maywall's kind of in the way a little bit there, but that's a nice Earth Shatter. Sato's knocked in his behind, and Michelle tries to get away. I can't believe that. Both main tanks get hit with a Shatter, and no one else drops on the side of the Defiant. The Titans aren't able to capitalize on a pretty crucial Earth Shatter. The cart is rapidly approaching those, so at least they've been able to create some space and gain some extra progress, but here comes a clap back from the Defiant. Hisu with the speed boost allows him to move a little bit more than a snail's pace, still doesn't give him any shots. And again, the Defiant back away. They say, okay.
Teru still has this.
That is a nasty pick.
Hisu on like an off angle gets the Lucia. That
You
is
asked
huge.
if Dalton will be doing stuff like this?
And they're
He's
gonna,
not.
And they're going to use the Blizzard after this.
Self-destruct though, that's bad. Shredlock, okay, he has a shield, he can put that back up, but with that shield getting blown up now, he just basically has to run away, and yep, Michelle's gonna know that Shredlock has no barrier to hide behind. He chases both main tanks down.
The Blizzard is such a huge ultimate there for Vancouver. I wonder if you could have held it until you're back at full strength. Without the Lucio in play, you know a Mateywall's going to come in from Toronto. You have no way to kind of speed away from it. That's one they may want to have back if you're the Titans.
Hisu somehow finds an opportunity to flank in this part of the map. It's not easy, so only a couple of corridors you can do that. You can quite easily get caught out if the Diva runs into you in a dark alley in this castle. You are donezo. Dalton flash, Michelle forces him away. That McCree's out of the fight entirely. Shredlock frozen up here. Sato quickly turns, shields up, and Shredlock now takes an opportunity to get some free hits in. Great immortality field. Sato was in deep trouble there. And Dalton has spent most of the fight on the outside looking in, Matt.
Hisu's going to have the Deadeye as well here, probably just moving players off of the cart, but this does not look likely that Titans are even going to get back to it. It's Toronto able to get that hold inside of the castle. They played the long game perfectly. They knew they had completed the map. They had that advantage in terms of the time. They could give up on that point B. They knew how to cycle their ultimates there once we got inside. Very strong play by Toronto through the first two maps.
I mean, at some points you're right, Matt. They kind of, meekly concede a couple of points, but they always maintain this kind of time-banked lead. It's not a flashy performance from the entirety of the Defiant, but it is fundamentally very sound. What Hisu is trying to do can be quite easily punished as well. Well, I mean, it can be punished, and if that happens, it's quite devastating. But at no point does Hisu really look like he's too bothered. He's able to flank, find crucial kills. Rolf getting picked off really early in a lot of these fights, whereas Dalton prefers to stand behind Shredlock and find this safe damage. In that sense, the Defiant are being rewarded for some, I guess, of what they're wagering, or the risk they're taking, and they go now into map 3 with a 2-0 lead. Ladies and gentlemen, join us after the break to see if the Vancouver Titans can stay alive, or if it's all going to be red and black.
Hello again. Hello. Well, let me preface this by saying, anyone who saw my predictions at the start, I still stand by them. Both those maps were relatively close. And also, I was completely wrong and forgot what Toronto's lineup was. Toronto is bringing out a bit of a stronger lineup than I thought. I could definitely see them being one of the top 5 teams in the league. Hisu and Nice on DPS is definitely a strong combo. But, that being said, each of those maps definitely seem like ones that Vancouver could have won, if not for either small mistakes or just other things like that. And I guess we'll start just going by map here. It'd be cool if I had some graphics and stuff to be able to show what I'm talking about down the road. Maybe we'll be able to have something like that. But I think the big things on Busan, on First Point Busan Mecha Base, that map is so much about whoever just caps first. And the fact that it looked like that first fight, I believe Vancouver got the first pick, but then shortly after that, they just lost 4 almost instantly. And then once Toronto was able to take the point, running that Mei comp on Mecha Base, it is so hard to retake against Mei. Just because there's only 2 small chokes. If Vancouver tries to push in top, they just ice wall it. If they try and push in far right, they ice wall it. So really on Mecha Base, there's not a lot you can say about that. Even any Owl team out there is going to struggle to retake against the Mei who is set up on that point. But they did bring it back on the next map, the next point of Busan there on Sanctuary, which I personally, as an avid Hammond player, am absolutely loving seeing all the Hammond played. Shredlock's Hammond, I saw him multiple times getting 2 picks with either a slam or something else like that. And honestly, that seemed to be their better comp. Now, unfortunately, on maps like Eichenwalde, you can't run that Hammond. It's just the way the map's designed, it can't work the same way it did on Koth. But if they're able to get on another map, which I don't know let me see, what is the next map, actually? I don't know if we know what it is yet. On Gibraltar? Okay, I believe on Gibraltar, you could definitely see more Hammond being played. Now, I said earlier, I expected to see more Winston. Gibraltar is definitely one of those maps where it's not surprising to see Winston being played. So I would say either expect to see Winston or Hammond probably on Gibraltar. But really, a lot of these, I don't think there's like one individual player that's like being the difference maker. It seems like Toronto in a lot of these fights is just being either a little bit more coordinated with their aggression, and it seems like Vancouver on a couple of them, they aren't quite sure what they want to do. Like on Eichenwalde defense, when they were holding the top of Castle there, I think they could have just sat up there and they didn't need to try and make a play, but it looked like Shredlock got a little antsy and he dropped down, which obviously that was a play they were coordinating, but I just don't think they needed to do that. I think it still could go either way. Like the matches, both maps were definitely close enough where if a couple fights just go the other way, I could easily see it going a different way, but with the way Toronto's playing, I guess we'll have to see on that. The one other point I'd have to say is I do think Vancouver needs to do a slightly better job keeping their supports alive. I wasn't able to see if it was Rolf himself being out of position or if his teammates just were like leaving him high and dry. But once you lose your Baptiste early in a fight, there's not much you can do. Lucio just doesn't do enough heals. So I think if Vancouver tries to play around Rolf a little bit more, keep him alive, and then just cleans up a few of the fights they're making where they're dying early, I can see them easily turning it around and taking either one or both these maps. Or if it goes to 5 maps, Pizza Hut, you can get free breadsticks. I love breadsticks. They're pretty delicious. So let's hope for another 3 maps of this. I don't think... Do I still have time? Am I getting cut off, producers? 35 seconds. Let's see. What do we have to say during this? Like I said, I think in terms of DPS, also Vancouver needs to keep an eye on Hisu a lot more. Something I've noticed that a lot of these Korean McCree players do is they flank a lot, and you'll see like Hisu is always coming from either behind, and I think that's part of what is picking off Rolf in some of the supports, is he's delaying his flank and then peeking as the fight has already started. So I think either Linkser, it looks like Linkser is actually also back in, which is the one other point I want to talk about before I get cut off. Linkser is a very big confidence player, I think, and he was playing very good that first map. I was actually very surprised they took him out on that second map. I guess they had a strat with Teru that they were on the run, but I'm glad to see him back in because he was hitting shots on that Ashe. I think if they keep him on Ashe, he seemed like he was going toe-to-toe with Logix or Hisu or anything, so I'm excited to see him back in on this one. But I think that is about to be it for me for the halftime. We should have a small break until next map, and then I will be back here at the end of the match to give my closing thoughts and whatnot on that. But it should be a good couple maps. Let's hope it goes to 5, and I will see you guys all at the end.
People might remember Aztac. He was on the Uprising Academy for quite some time, but also WGS Phoenix more recently, obviously. WGS Phoenix and the Uprising had a couple, an agreement to sort of loan him out for some time. Zenyatta, an Ana player, obviously, flex support, comes in here. And Beast, obviously, look, I don't think it's a flattering comparison, statistically, putting him up next to Sato as a top 4 tank as far as IBM Watson is concerned. And, Beast was sort of, down towards the bottom, in aggregate stats last season. So a chance for him to sort of show signs of his own development over the course of the off-season, because it's quite clear, Matt, that, that Defiant sort of buy into, the idea of him as a player in sort of the longer term here. And this is a great chance for him to get that crucial match experience and obviously, learn a ton from Sato as well.
Yeah, I was going to say a huge opportunity for Beast to kind of learn under Sato, KDG, really kind of improve as a player over time. Sato is so tremendous. I mean, when you look at what he brings to this team and everything that he kind of has is incredible. And this is some of the stuff we were talking about earlier, Mitch, when we were referencing some of the Linkser stuff. So this is Final Blows' Widowmaker all time in the Overwatch League. And we go over to Gibraltar where maybe we see some Widow play. Linkser is right up there with Carpe, man. And to think, like, Carpe is in the lineup all of the time for the Philly Fusion, really since the beginning. Linkser's had moments where he hasn't played for, like, long stretches, what it feels like. So this really kind of, you think back to Season 1, probably a lot of this damage was done. where Linkser was tremendous on the Widowmaker.
I actually also think as well, solo kills, Linkser is right up the top of the scoreboard, I think, in terms of solo kills per 10 minutes.
He's number 1.
Yeah, for players with 2 or more seasons, Linkser at 1.5 solo kills per 10 minutes. So obviously, we say 2 or more seasons because we really try and stretch. Yeah, here it is. So we've got it. This stretches out, obviously, over a sample size. And Linkser and Logic's 2 players in the game right now have been credited with, really big hauls of these solo kills.
And I'm actually excited to see how Logix plays on this Toronto Defiant team. We haven't seen Logix with a real strong roster around him. I think that would be fair to say.
Absolutely.
Always in a situation where he's kind of had to do a lot to get wins or even get good results. So now to see him with a lot of this talent around, you don't know how good he can be. We see how good he is, especially on the Widowmaker. And things like that, and hit scan. Now, what else can he bring to this team? Now, with Logix and Hisu in the lineup, you kind of think like, well, maybe in Gibraltar, do you have Hisu? Is this where he plays some Sombra like you had talked about earlier? And then we see Logix on some of the long-range hit scan, and maybe that's his role on this team? Maybe that's what they go with.
It's possible we get... it's possible we get a Logix on a Tracer as well at some point.
Tracer as well, yeah.
As you sort of pointed out, what we've seen from Gibraltar is teams playing a lot of double bubble setups, right? And yesterday, I think we definitely got to see Smurf look really dominant just on the Winston in general, just in the way that he was sort of set up here. This is where I would like Sado, right? Obviously, Beast comes in on this particular map, and we probably should expect to see some Winston there. But I am excited because, for whatever reason, the Defiant sort of coaching staff really want, Beast in on this particular map. And we know just how good it looks for Winston to take the game over.
Well, okay, so if you were going to play Winston, you'd probably still leave Sado in. Is this something where you see them play double shield, like a Orisa Sigma, and you bring in Beast to play the Orisa, and you kind of have him be like the Orisa specialist for this team?
I mean, God knows Sado played enough Orisa in his time. Sure. I mean, I suppose so.
Is that what you want to do? Yeah, I mean, it's a possibility. We just don't really know,
Sigma,
right?
I was maybe expecting you could play all Sigma on this map theoretically on some parts of it. We are waiting just at the moment for a couple of these players to get into lobby, but we can have a look at our map leaderboard right now and give you an idea exactly how some of these times have spun out here. And you'll see here that the Vancouver Titans, now this is their 2019 roster, chat, but the franchise is credited with one of the fastest pushes on this particular map against a Gladiators team who has never really been truly bad at any season of the league.
No, it just kind of shows where the Titans were really kind of a team that was bashing a lot of the other teams in the league that were so strong, and obviously a ton of shakeups with that roster, and now kind of rebuilding, and you rebuild to try and get back to that point.
Absolutely, and I think that and I guess this probably illustrates the sort of the rise, the fall, and the rebuild period of this Titans roster pretty adequately, because you do go from a top 2 team to a bottom 2 team essentially overnight. The players come in and they shoulder this expectation, which this expectation quite often takes a while to become tempered as the roster changes. So, you are playing under a fan base that still expects nothing but excellence. I mean, ask any New York Excelsior player over the years, and they could tell you that. Like, walking into that kind of environment is difficult. Talk about a fan base that really expects only the very best from an NYXL roster who, frankly, has never been a top team, really, in the Overwatch League when it really mattered. So, that's something to bear in mind here. Obviously, he's still being asked to take their seat. We're finding a little bit that, after map 2, in a couple of these games, players are a little bit more elusive to get them to return to their machines.
Is this the Titan showing off? Looks like
stress
balls
ball
with the Titans logo.
See, Fried really seems like the least stressed person
It's the first game of the season.
Yeah. I mean, guy looks like he's.
I mean, maybe you are.
He's in the middle of filming Castaway right now. I mean, he's chilling. You know what I mean? All right, Fry Wiener has a stretch ball, then I guess we should all have one. I mean, he's got a big job, I guess, right now, especially in the matchup against Michelle. I mean, I think Fry looked very, very good over the first couple of maps. We got to see Sigma when they were playing the Sigma ball early, and then he obviously played some Diva just after that. I mean, it's kind of crazy that the Rain had both him and Hawk just sort of sat there, 2 absolute sort of top level flex tanks. I
also think on the other side, it's really good to see Michelle get consistent play. last year when
It was Marvel last year.
he was on Seoul Dynasty. We saw a lot of Marvel Plus gesture as Marvel started to play more off tank, and I know towards the later half of the season prior to that, I thought Michelle was playing quite well, specifically on the Diva. We now see he can play the Sigma. I'm excited that he's a mainstay of this Toronto roster. I think that Toronto, a lot like how we talked about where, in Eichenwalde, they played really safe, consistent, smart. Like, it's kind of the same way they built the roster, where I also think the roster's very solid from top to bottom. They just don't have some of like that star power draw some of like the other teams have. But these players are really sick. Really good team this year to work with.
No doubt about it. We're going to take a quick break as we step aside. So I think it's the Defiant having a technical issue or two that needs to be ironed out, but we'll be back soon enough with map number 3, and we'll see if the Vancouver Titans can stay alive or will they get swept. Stick around.
Hello again. Well, I was not expecting to be back so soon, but technical difficulties, whatnot. What can you do? So we got a couple more minutes to fill. You guys get to see more of me, deal with me for it, whatever. But this is good, though, because now I got free stuff to give away. So, unfortunately, with how Overwatch League is set up, people don't just get free tokens for watching on this stream specifically, but we have some free ones to give away. So, if you want any of those cool... These are for the skins in-game, right? These are like the tokens and everything.
It's 100 tokens. Good
100
for one
tokens.
skin.
Good for one skin. So, you can choose a skin of your favorite team, Vancouver Titans. But, I have a couple of them to put in chat. First come, first served basis. So, I'd say launch your Overwatch right now. We'll put one in here. Let's see. And you can use it for any hero. Roadhog, Zarya, like I said, any hero, as long as it's those two. I guess you could do some others if you wanted also, but... And we got 2 more to give. I got one right here. Also, I see someone in chat said Logix will carry. Well, he's on Toronto. He's not on Vancouver, so mods, if we can get that guy banned, that'd be great. No. Wait, did I not put the other code in? Uh-oh. Here, one sec. Code number 2. Listen, this is 100. If you guys don't use these, like if these aren't used by the time I'm done here, I'm using them myself. So I'm just giving you a heads up. If I see these aren't redeemed, I'm taking those skins for myself. And I got one more here too. 3, 2, 1. There. Those are all 3 of them. That's all I got. Deal with it. But for tomorrow, I think I was discussing with our producers some that I think I'll be going between each map now instead of just at halftime and before and after it. So, which I think it works out a bit better. It lets me talk about the map right after it finishes. So, this is the first day of me doing this, of really us doing this. So, there'll be some tweaks for these first couple weeks as we get used to it more. But I think I touched on most of the points I wanted to say going into this next map. Like I said, Linkster's back in. He was playing well. I expect to see him continue to play well. And as long as Vancouver does a bit better of a job keeping their supports alive in some of these fights, I think they could easily take back one of these next maps. If not all 3. Free breadsticks if it goes to map 5 from Pizza Hut would be great to see. I'll see you guys at the end of the match. Go Vancouver.
The series.
There's some subs like we covered before. Aztec comes in, Logix, Michelle. Toronto, I remember the first season that they were in the league. That first stage they came in, I believe that they were pretty good. They ended up making the playoffs in that stage, and then ever since then, I feel like it's just been a roller coaster. They've had so many roster changes and turnover. It's good to see them land on this core of players, and obviously the players that we just saw play the first 2 maps. I just want to see them give this time, right? You know, KDG, we've seen him have success before, whether it be with Seoul Dynasty or Philadelphia. Trust in KDG, trust in the players that you have. This is going to be a good season for them.
I mean, this is a team. If you think about it, last season, obviously they had players like Kareev on the roster, Shawfort, Agilities, Cruz, Zik, who's everyone's favorite French DPS player. Nevix was even on this team. There was never a shortage of great players. Even in season 1, they had what, Neko, Ivy, Yakpung, I'm 37, all on that team.
Yeah.
So, you know, I think that Defiant have always had really more than serviceable rosters. And again, we keep saying, so many teams this year, this might be their very best look. Now they mix it up here. They go with, obviously, Beast, who, you know, comes in after Sato, who's arguably a bit more tested here. But this is a map where the Defiant, like I said, can win the series and also show a little bit more of what they've been cooking up in the kitchen.
I'm a bit more tested is... It makes some sense. So, you know, Sato is what, number 3 in terms of the tanks. Toronto, they have some time to make some changes. Yeah, I think it was timed for 3. There's Rolf on the Ana, Fire on the break. So expecting probably some type of, you know, counter dive with the double bubble. Coming in from Toronto, possibly.
So we did get that Sigma ball, potentially, that we sort of talked about in the break. It's okay, I might do the Winston instead, but yeah. Obviously, it's an alternative. The Titans come out with a double bubble here that looks pretty stable, pretty standard. Obviously, Lynx is just going to try and have to do his best to stay alive in many of these fights here. The Defiant come out with the Symmetra. That's going to let Michelle, Lastro, and Co get up on the high ground here. Nice little variation on the early teleporter play.
Yeah, I was gonna say, it's a very interesting angle to use the teleporter. Usually it's used up onto the bridge to go that way, but a little bit safer. So Logic's playing the Tracer, so maybe this is where he kind of finds his role on the team. Maybe he is just the Tracer specialist. When you want a Tracer for the entire map and you're not willing to switch off of it, this is when you bring in Logic.
Shredlock there just getting pocketed by Rolf, playing right up there on top of the boxes. Allowed him to stall the cart for a little bit. Michelle playing really safely here. It's like the Defiant, they really want this high ground control, but they're not willing to go too aggressive for it. Maybe they are waiting for Beast to join them, as Logix is constantly harassing Shredlock, but look at Rolf, he's almost has a nano boost already, because he's just pocketed that Winston this entire round so far. Still, Fried goes down eventually. The Defiant do eventually pounce on this high ground, but there's that early nano boost here. Let's see what Shredlock can do.
He's going to be able to take out Hisu. You have Sato slept behind as he's going to get body blocked, so you're able to get 2 big picks, which is huge because you lost your Zarya. The Zarya, large source of damage on this in this type of composition. Really good at protecting the Winston as well. So losing that Zarya is really difficult first there for the Titans, but the nano boost from Rolf is huge. Bounce back with it.
Feels like that is a result of leaving Rolf completely uncontested play on that high ground, as the Defiant were really trying to focus on getting across the bridge. Brute forcing that option. All right, Very did goes Beast here. He got Azaya Bubble. He also has his Primal Rage. So oh my, okay, it wasn't quite the one clip, but Hisu does a great job at converging on Dalton alongside Logix. And there's a Pulse Bomb here. Logix can just wrap around, and there's no point using it here. A dominant fight for the Defiant.
Well, you mentioned Beast goes in deep, and he takes so much space. They didn't even bother dealing with him. He's able to put so much damage down on the high ground. When those players drop, they're just easy kills for Hisu and Logix to just clean up. That'll be a 0.8 take for Toronto. And all they had to use was the Nano. Now they're going to come back with a large set of ultimates here. For what's probably the hardest part of the map to push through. Beast takes a nice position up here, just trying to control the top of the ship.
Yeah, and he pulls 3 of the Titans players in his direction up to the top of the shuttle, so he can just go back up there at his own leisure. He still has that Primal Rage, he sort of pointed out, that the Defiant didn't have to use any of those ultimates in that last fight outside of Ana's. Speaking of which, Dalton wants to harass Lastro a little bit. The Brig gets stuck, and nice bubble given from Michelle. It's going to keep Aztac alive, and now Beast decides to go for that Primal Rage, and Linksa gets juggled. It's Cirque du See you later, nerds.
So that is a grab that gets thrown in at long range there by Michelle. And that's beautiful. They want to stop these players from going back, getting set up with the rest of the team. You usually don't see the grab used at that long of range, but in that type of situation, look at this. Now Vancouver, they have to make a decision. They're just split 3 and 3. 3 players coming off the spawn as Lynx with a big first pick off.
Hisu patient. Oh, the patience pays! Fire and Shredlocker down. Hisu takes a glancing blow from the low grounds. Lynxer tries to stave him off, but still, the Titans have lost much of the bite to back up the bark. The nano boost here onto Dalton. Aztag goes down, a nice little place grenade there. Fried could have done a lot with the nano himself here, but it's going to be the Tracer instead. Bubble on to Lynxer, who gets the Deadeye kill on Beast, excuse me. Backing up though is Michelle as Fried Arena runs him down, and Titans will maintain this control for now. It's tenuous, but they're in control.
Yeah, I mean, it looked like it was going to be a Toronto take when they end up using the grabs, splitting them off. Lynxer comes out and gets that first pick off on a Logix, and they're able to stall it out after that. So pretty big plays there by the Titans. Coming into the next fight for Vancouver on defense, all you have is this pulse bomb. Primal Rage from Beast, gonna be able to take a lot of space with that, also build up a ton of charge for Michelle. So see if they're able to get close enough to get some value out of it.
It definitely equates to high ground control if Beast can sort of get a couple of decent punches up there. Shredlock will play from the high ground, try and drop on someone like Lastro, and then use a jump, get that hide again. Friendly bubble used by Fried there, and Beast gets hammered on that high ground. He might struggle actually to really control that space. That primal health just gets cut through awfully quick.
He's so low. They're able to heal him up as you're now building up towards his nano very quick. Lastro able to get a ton of ultimate charge there when the Beast is so low. I want to take the fight in the ship here, as it looks like Toronto's moving up towards the high ground. A nano onto both Winstons here in this close quarter area could be devastating.
Yeah, Michelle trying to stay alive here. Actually gets the nano boost, maybe just for survivability. If anything, there's going to be a Graviton Surge now, and Hisu is in the perfect spot to find these kills. That's 3 from the man, and Dalton's in trouble. Needs to at least get rid of Hisu, but that's just the beginning. So much work to be done now for just one player, one Tracer. Dalton has the Pulse Bomb to throw a spanner in the works here, but the Titans have to get back to the cart post-haste.
Oh, and he's so weak. They're just tracking him so well as Michelle all charged up. Lynxer with the Deadeye coming out, forcing them behind the payload. He's looking for heads.
Found a couple there, but maybe not quite enough. Good flash on a Beast, though, and now it's the Graviton Surge to compound the issue from Fried. Well, it's just Aztag by the looks of things caught in that one, but it's enough, again, to stave off the Defiant, who come in under 40 seconds remaining on their attack.
And for as good as how Toronto has looked sometimes on offense, the story's really been how good the Titans have been in these last fight type of scenarios on D. Lynx are able to control the high ground there. Good use of the grab on the payload as 20 seconds left. Toronto, you probably end up with a Deadeye here and potentially a Pulse Bomb.
Logix on the shuttle. Does he have the will to command it? Beast has the drop down again, making himself very scarce. He's struggling with all the scrutiny he's faced this round. And there's another nano boost online for both Ana players. That one's given over to Shredlock immediately, and Lastro could be in trouble. Can he get a nano of his own off? The sleep, it's just a little too late. Still gets the nano away. But that was a little bit of a trial niner. And Michelle is a little too late to the card.
I was scared when they were getting up for that fight on the high ground that nobody was going to get to the cart, and it looked like Logix was the one who got the touch. So I believe Lastro does get the nano off towards the end there, but somebody left the cart and there was no communication to get back to it. So
the anatomy of a C9.
Yup. Everybody assumes everybody else is going to do the objective, and then nobody does. They get about, what, 75%, 80% of the way to point B. So pretty decent push there for the Toronto Defiant. I think with what we've seen with bringing in Beast is probably just wanted to give him some play. Okay, so that was Logix on the point. So Logix gets taken out by Lynxer and nobody goes back down.
Yeah,
okay.
There's a Deadeye in the back to the top right of your screen. I think that's why Michelle didn't want to drop until he had a bubble for himself. Still, that just made it a little bit too late. The timing wasn't really there for the Defiant. So definitely a less imperious display from Toronto, I want to say, on that attacking side. Vancouver Titans here. I mean, win condition pretty comfortably set. They just need to make decent inroads inside that shuttle phase, pretty much get to the second checkpoint, and they're still alive and kicking in this series.
It's easier said than done, though. Toronto was able to make that much progress because they had the 6 ultimates going into that fight. Once the shuttle kind of phase opens up, if you don't have that luxury, we've seen teams get stalled out there for a very long time.
TP play mirrored by the Titans. They use it to at least get in a position where they can contest this bridge, so there'll be some poke damage, primarily from the Zarya players. Michelle's been able to somehow glean 30 charge from this situation, so be happy with that. He'll have to move, though, pretty quickly here. And gets no charge from that as well. Nicely done by the Titans to stop shooting at the Zarya with a bubble. I guess it's pretty fundamental by this point, but still overlooked sometimes. Shredlock burnt down. Again, the Winstons just do not last long here.
No, especially if they don't have a bubble, if he doesn't have his own bubble down. No, the other Zarya's charged up a lot of damage to be able to just kind of like blow up these Winstons. Also a decent amount of stun, right? The sleep, the flashbang, the bash from Break. You go in, you don't have that bubble, you get hit with one of those. You're at this level of play dead pretty much immediately. So Dalton trying to move the payload underneath the bridge. He'll get challenged a little bit there by Logic, as they don't want to let the payload around that corner.
Pride is looking dangerous right now. And that's just not just the Tanner moustache and beard combo, it's the charge. 82%. Can't. Not moving right now. Here's the nano boost here. So Lastro sets this one up. Beast immediately gets rid of fire. That's crucial. Now no one's going to interrupt him here. He needs the primal rage though. Nice landing with a jump pack. Gets him pretty much there. And in the end, the rest of his team comes to the rescue.
Yeah, no need. Oh, they actually beautiful there. The Lastro actually slept Shredlock on the way out. So everybody's able to converge on him, pick up the kill. It's 2 minutes to go. You're not in full panic mode yet if you're the Titans, but you're getting close because you have these ultimates that you're going to have to use to push over the line. If you don't get it, obviously that's worst case, but use these ultimates. Clock still dwindles down. Now, Toronto's going to be able to get on top of that shuttle in the second phase and start controlling it, so you want to be able to take this, ideally, if you're the Titans, without using everything.
Graviton Surge here for Michelle. This is Beast in a very good position to do work. That's the grab. Nano boost to Fried Weenie here. Logic goes down early, and you can see the Defiant have to respect this a little bit. They get a grab fired back at them. Primal Rage from Beast Halo completely nullified. He just gets blown up while he's suspended inside that doorway, and the Titans will get themselves that point A. Again, a miscalculation perhaps from Toronto as they give it up.
But like I mentioned, they had to use Deadeye, Primal, Grav, and Nano to be able to make it happen. These kills are huge. This will buy them the space necessary, right? You'll be able to get the payload, maybe even underneath the bridge or close to it that can negate some of the high ground on top of the shuttle.
And those tank ultimates are definitely the most impactful ones here, so the quicker that Vancouver can recoup those, the better shape they're going to be in. Obviously, they're still dealing with the threat of a Deadeye from Hisu, and Logic's Pulse Bomb. Beast Halo, I mean, he gets hit, with that by the grenade. Throwback on the name, I know. Where does Logie Bear stick this? A picnic basket, perhaps? He'll keep the cart stalled for now, and a Pulse Bomb in hand, he's looking for a fight. That's not bad.
Trying to force the recall.
Has to use his own, but he recalls to where the mini is, so we can at least get a bit of a top up there. Pulse! Oh, it's good! Both Tracers find themselves 2 kills, but Hisu's Deadeye gets rid of Shredlock. Now, crucially, the Pulse Bomb from Dalton got both supports. We'll see if that makes a difference here, and it seems to be the case. The fight goes longer, and the Defiant flounder for a moment, but they stay alive, and that cart starts trundling backwards.
Logic's with the double with the Pulse Bomb right after Dalton. Just no emotion on the face whatsoever.
Another day at the office.
Everybody inside of that stairwell, and you saw Dalton's. He actually comes from the high ground, I believe, sticks it on the Aztec, who just kind of jumps back down into the Lastro. And Logic's from the opposite side able to connect with one is Deadeye for Linkser.
Electric Cowboy.
Pushing them down from on top of that shuttle.
All right, here's a Beast now. Primal Rage for him. It's a Nano Boost on towards Shredlock. Maybe no huge surprise there. And Beast during Primal doesn't really want to fight in that room. He knows he'll get blown up instantly. Fried Wiener's just asking him to come and test him. He has a Graviton Surge available. No charge though, a little bit annoying. But grab into the corner anyway, catches Lastro. He gets a bubble. Bionic Grenades himself. Can't stay alive, though. The responding grab is much less shock and awe, I'll be honest with you. The Titans now in a good position to take this map away. Michelle goes low. Frywin has to duck inside the bubble for the time being, and Dalton's stunned up. He's able to blink away. Now the pulse bomb doesn't connect, but Logic and Aztec are down, and the Titans stay alive here with a victory on Watchpoint Gibraltar. Looks much cleaner from them. And again, Matt, like you said, a lot of those transactions in terms of trading ultimates for time, for space, seems to work out in their favor.
Yeah, it's a huge win here for the Titans, obviously keeping themselves alive in the series, but Dalton on the Tracer, a real difference maker. Toronto, they bring in Logics to play that Tracer role. This map, though, Dalton definitely got the better. Huge pulse bombs, being able to get into the backline, pressure out these supports. Played really strong on Gibraltar.
Yeah, of course, Beast comes in, tough job, and we see both of these Winstons getting essentially just blown up as soon as they show their faces, so it's a dangerous game. You really have to be in and out quickly and safely. And it doesn't matter if you're a bottom 3 or a top 3 main tank, that challenge is still going to be quite difficult to surmount. Logic still looks good on the Tracer. We'll see if he stays in, if there's more substitutions to be made on the other side of the break here. Still a match point for Toronto Defiant, and the Titans want to force a map 5.
Hey, we won a map! Let's go! Well, I was planning not being back until after the matches were all over, but I feel like there was some stuff to talk about there, and honestly, I just want to talk because I don't want to wait and just do nothing. So the main things I saw in that is, one, I'm surprised that they swapped, or that Toronto had swapped out Sato for Beast. I've always thought Sato was one of the better Winstons out there. And not that Beast is bad. Beast is obviously a really good player too. Just, it's obviously they had won the first 2 maps. Toronto had won them pretty handedly. So it seems weird that they decided to make a swap there. I'm not sure if they just had that's how they've done it in scrims, or if they felt like from the first 2 maps they just even though they had won them, they felt like they weren't playing as good as they should be. So I'm not sure if they made the swap because of that, or if they just wanted to get all their players playing time. But it looked like Toronto was swapping back from the cameras there. It looked like Sato was sitting back down. Do we know what the next map is actually? I need to really have this up in front of me, but I don't know if one of you guys. Hanamura? Oh, 2CP! Oh gosh, okay. Well, with 2CP, on that map, we had a lot of Winston and everything, I thought was going to be the case. Hanamura, I expect to see a lot more Mei again, a lot more Reinhardt again, and then a combination of either D.Va and Zarya, which it did look like Fried was having a really good performance on Zarya there. Some of his grabs there, especially the one at the end there to get the Ana, even though it was only a 1-man. I've always said if you can get a big target like the main healer, like an Ana in that comp, that is almost always worth going for, because once the Ana goes down, their heals are gone, and you can just start taking it slower and taking the fight there. So I'm not necessarily sure if they're going to keep him on Zarya on Hanamura. Teams normally run a lot more D.Va there, but I'm curious to see what strats people run. Whether or not we'll see any sim teleport strats, any different comps ran. I'm definitely expecting the Mei still. It's kind of similar to Mecha Base on Busan, where just the fact that the chokes are so small, having that ice wall to be able to control them is normally really good. I'm expecting the Rhine still, but I could see some of the team, if they're struggling on attack at the very start, switching back to either a ball or a ham and dive comp. Because sometimes against the Mei, if the defense is just set up there, the best move is just to make a complete swap, go for some crazy dive comp, which I touched on it earlier. Shredlock's Hammond was looking really good. Whether or not he'd be on that or on Winston, who knows, but I imagine he's going to start on Rhine. Other than that, though, like I said, Linkser came back in. He seemed like he was playing very well there. I expected. I'm not sure who's playing next map. The fact that Mei might be played here more again, I'm not sure how great Linkser's Mei is. I know they had swapped him out on the second map on Eichenwalde when they ran Mei, so I guess we'll have to see on that. But if Vancouver does take this next map, that means we're going to a map 5, and I think I touched on it earlier, but my man Pizza Hut over there, if it goes to a map 5, you can get some free breadsticks. You can go to your local one, just be like, hey, Vancouver Titans won. Give me my breadsticks. It doesn't exactly work like that. I'm sure there's some coupon or something, but you could still go in and say that. They'd probably look at you weird, but you never know. Also, my producers and everything said I can look and interact with you guys for chat for a little bit here. So really, I think I have another code to give away. There's just so much stuff here. Where's it at? All right, let me take a look here. I just have so much free stuff here. I might not even give this one away. I might just take this one, but I guess I will. Where's my Discord at? Here we go. You enter this in somewhere on the BNet site, not in the app. I was dumb and I said it was in the app. That was just wrong. Way to go, Harb. But on the BNet, one of them will be able to put the link in chat. I'm gonna put it in. First come, first serve. This is 100 tokens. You can buy whatever team skin you want. And I'm pressing it now. What were you trying to say there also real quick? Let's see. There's the code. You get it there. I don't know if I'm getting cut off yet. Also, wait. I can see the Pizza Hut right below me somewhere there. A 500 token giveaway. Vancouver Titans social channels. You can find out more info there. Like I said, these codes I'm giving you are only 100 for 500. Just think about that. You could buy like entire set. Buy them all. Collect them all. Show them to your friends, family, whatnot. I got 35 seconds to kill, so let's go to the chat here. Teru is playing great. Well, he only played the one map, but his Mei did look a little bit more clean than Linkser's. Linkser's obviously always been a hit scan player. I know he can play the Mei. I've seen him play it quite a bit in ranked. But Teru, I believe, is more of the flex player, and Mei has historically been more of the flex. So I'd say on Hanamura, expect to see him back in. I'm not sure yet, though, but that is all I have time for now. I will be back at the end of next map, win or lose. The plan was just being back at the end, but if Vancouver wins next map, I do want to talk a bit more before the final map. So I will see people later on the stream. Go Vancouver!
Well, we go back to what we saw. Yeah, we go back to what we saw in the first two maps. It seems like map 3, they wanted to get some of their other players some run in an actual Overwatch League match. The first game of the season, maybe try and play everybody. As we have Beast sub out, put Sato back in, Sunjae in for Aztec, and then Nice in for Logics. I do want to speak with KDG after this because we do have pick'ems this year, and I had a 3-0 in this match. So now if they win this one, I'll be slightly angry, but not really. As Teru sub in for Linkser here.
We didn't really talk about that, did we, I guess? With Hisu and Sato being brought over from KDG, I think the desk were talking about like the new structure that Sato's playing under or whatever, but it might actually be a pretty similar one to what we saw at Philadelphia. Obviously with KDG being involved there. It's not uncommon for coaches to bring over some of their players that are sort of like their proteges in a way, and obviously it's revitalized this Defiant roster who, were always in the mix, always competitive, but never really dominant. Here's a chance here in this last map, which is Hanamura, as you can see, to display some of that dominance here and say, hey, look, we gave the rest of the roster a bit of a run, but it's time to end this fun and games.
Bringing over Hisu and Sato from Philly is not a bad grab, right? We talked about how good Hisu was towards the later half of the season for the Fusion. Sato, with his career with Philadelphia, I think, getting Michelle with the Seoul Dynasty, he wasn't really doing anything there with how his play was. You've got some really good. Last show is like not really like a last minute, but kinda like when Valiant released their players. You put together a really good team with just kind of, you don't want to say spare parts from everywhere else, but just kind of like picking and choosing from different teams and then obviously dipping into the free agency pool a bit.
A map the two have yet to play, I guess, so we didn't really see it last year. And already, we're going to get a chance to see what Hanamura looks like between these two teams. And compositionally, we saw some wacky stuff yesterday. We saw Double Shield Bastion play for a time yesterday. That was quite curious. Was that not the Gladiators who tried that?
That was Gladiator's Shaw, yes. I was going to mention, too, I think Cuss on the desk was talking a little bit about it in the pre-game, but really love the diversity that we saw in terms of the meta yesterday. Today, at least with these two teams, we primarily seen them play this.
Right.
Rush or have Tracer in the mix, right? but a lot of, it's really the Reinhardt, the Mei, the McCree, Brawley, Lucio for the speed to disengage, engage, and then the Batiste for the heals in the Immortality field.
I've heard whispers that, the Mayhem are working on some cool stuff, so maybe a reason to stick around and see what they do in their matchup against the Atlanta Reign. But it's a teleport that gets the majority of the Titans here in the top left high ground. So they're going to rotate to the point now. So this is less direct, less maybe aggressive than just teleporting directly onto the point. But it gets them past the choke and away from a lot of the poke damage that can punish them, especially if Hisu really wants to connect some of these shots. It's tough for the Titans to advance. They want to stay out of line of sight as long as they possibly can here. Group up, heal up, and get ready to contest in a brawl.
It's when Symmetra gets to the point, she can really be devastating on the shields. She's going to burn the shield down. This is interesting. A teleport to the exact other side. And then I believe that Mei wall actually go right on top of the TP to block it. We'd have to get another look at it, but that would be a really nice use of the Mei wall there to block some of the other players trying to go to the other side.
Yeah, we only saw Fried Wiener actually get through that teleporter at all, and by the time he'd done that, two of his teammates had already fallen. It could have been because the Defiant was standing on one side of the TP, sort of, hitting F and trying to go through the teleporter and just not.
All right, guys, let's all commit. He's like the only one there.
And now we're hitting F for a different reason. Now the Titans have to come back once more. 2 minutes 20 on the clock. Okay, that's an Ant Matrix. Mei wall, Immortality field has to be employed there to keep the Titans hale and hearty. So they are. Dalton gets the TP on, almost gets smashed, and yep, Sato's waiting for him there. Nicely done. I like this. The Defiant, they stick their Reinhardt on the other side of the TP map.
How long do they stick on the Symmetra? Do you think this is something that we see them try and... Oh, well, there it is. They switch right off of it. So now they've gone over.
But this doesn't answer the initial problem here. You have to get through a choke against a Reinhardt Mei setup.
Right. And now you kind of wasted a decent chunk of time trying the Symmetra to make it work. You're down, what? I mean, Toronto has 5 ultimates here. They'll get a Ant Matrix up rather quickly with the amount of healing that Lastro will be able to provide. Really tough spot here for the Titans.
Okay, great Mei wall, though. That does get him somewhat past the choke, and Sato just beefs that shatter. Hisu. Defense Matrix in the way, but he's able to get back to the rest of his team, so he's not caught for being out of position. So, okay, in a different manner, the Titans are able to get into this previous position. They don't have a TP to get them behind the Defiant once more, so it's much more of a direct approach. Fried Wiener has a self-destruct here, so keep an eye on that. See how he makes use of it as he sort of just walks up. He'll have to use his Air Matrix here. Good. Shatter comes out. Dalton goes down early, though. Sound barrier, great timing from Ansun J. And the Titans have one of their own. That allows them to get rid of Nice and Lastro, a player advantage now. Good patience from Vancouver, and again, it's Defiant. Hold for quite some time. They make it costly, but eventually they concede.
It's a huge shatter from Shredlock that really decides it. Sunjay gets onto the point there, just contests for a little bit longer. He's still there, but it's a shatter from Shredlock. It's actually a good sound barrier, like you mentioned. But we see from Fried Wiener's point of view, he just jumps right on the last show, and he's down on the ground. Knows he needs to get the Batiste out of the fight.
3 minutes 23 on the clock with that extension. Okay. Nice getting rid of
that take place.
Dalton has to have been at long range. Dalton has not been the one trying to flank. It's definitely been Hisu on the McCree, and he's normally been sat behind Shredlock's shield. Nice. I mean, his eyebrows are at risk of disappearing into his hairline. He looks surprised that he managed to find that connection.
I think everybody was surprised. I was like, where was Dalton playing?
It was a body shot too, so I think he probably took poke from Hisu as well, perhaps. Or just didn't get healed. Either way, not great. That burns actually about 30 seconds off the clock. Okay, look at Michelle's positioning here. And Matrix there, Blizzard. Oh my, a lot of people from the Titans going to get caught in that one. Shredlock, though, most importantly, is frozen. Fry tries to go for a self-destruct and gets frozen as soon as he gets back in his mech. So that is some key ultimates that just got absolutely thrown out the window.
Well,
fair enough.
As is tradition, the Diva stall. Well, what he tried to do there, though, with the self-destruct, right, is deter them from, running on in. A lot like how we see sometimes like a Deadeye used when the Blizzard comes down. Deter them from coming in, especially with the self-destruct. Forces Sato to keep his shield up, depending on where it is. This will be a speed boost Deadeye. Both teams using the Deadeye. both resulting in nothing. But just this pressure from Toronto, I mean, look how far it's pushed the Titans back.
Yeah, they're playing under the bridge here on the low ground. They really had to disengage very quickly. They have the Blizzard here, though, so I'm interested to see how Ansunjae positions the Defiant in this next fight, because that will be a big problem. If they get frozen up on the high ground, that could be the point. Again, it's also Michelle, if he can eat
Terror
this.
gets really low.
Still alive, though. Teru, another big hit. Yeah, he's just taking this poke damage. Oh, and this is going to get even worse now with an amplification matrix. The Maywall has to be there, but Sato is going to try and bypass that. This Earth Shatter. Waiting for Shredlock to drop the shield. Play the corner here. Stay safe. Okay, and now the Titans' positioning's been forced. They had to go to the high ground, so Sato gets shattered. Great sound barrier, though. That is beautiful stuff from Ansunjae. Still not enough to keep Sato alive, though. And okay, so very roundabout way of winning the fight here for the Titans. It requires some creative maneuvering, but in the end, the result is really favorable.
This will be 2 ticks now for the Titans, and it'll be a nice drop in the Blizzard from the high ground. This will be Titans Blizzard in return. Sato trying to get a shatter off there before he gets completely frozen up. So it looks like Dalton up on the high ground. Same with Hisu now up on the high ground here. Is he able to pick up some kills, do some damage?
That immortality field was huge from Lastro. Sato is clinging to life, but it came out at the point that Fry doesn't have a rocket booster available, and Shredlock can't get to the drone without taking too much damage from Sato's hammer swing. So essentially, Sato is unkillable for that window. And then Hisu gets to wrap around and force Shredlock to turn his back, and that's not a good idea as Reinhardt. Not in that situation.
Lastro's looked really, he's looked really good on the Batiste.
We knew his honor was insane.
Deadeye combination. Yeah,
his Batiste.
Deadeye combination with a Amp Matrix here as the Maywall goes up in the choke is they are not going to be able to get a touch. So that'll be it on progress for the Titans.
Look, I've got to commend the Titans because they have come up with some of their rather creative solutions to some of the problems that Toronto have presented to them. For example, how that previous fight went that required a speed boost and sort of a solo shatter on Sato, allowed them to pick him off. That is quite creative. Shredlock at that time is probably looking to try and get a multiplayer shatter on the high ground. Instead, that you see Sato's wrapped around because they threw up a Maywall to protect themselves from an Amp Matrix. Sato says, well, I'm just going to walk up here and maybe I can sort of find a shatter. So the Titans are, repositioning really well with Fire. I wonder how much Fire is involved in the calling here because it seems like they're really responsive and they look really good in Lucio comps. There's not enough here against the Defiant, obviously, but still promising signs.
So we'll see if there's anything a little bit different for Toronto on offense. They could play the Pharah. We saw some Pharah yesterday from Nero. Pretty much for the whole map because the Gladiators are running the Bastion at the beginning. What do they decide to do though? This is going to be pretty standard here for the Titans. Nothing surprising. No kind of tricks or kind of games coming out here on defense. This will be May McCree. Just waiting on what do we see from the Toronto Defiant. So I was going to say that comp would make 0 sense. We're going to see some changes. Yeah. Okay. So they're going to play the May McCree as well. For a second there, they were hovering the Pharah Roadhog Wrecking Ball combo.
Yeah.
Also known as the let's end this flat game by getting full held combination.
It's a classic, yeah. Those of us who know, I mean, if you know, you know, chat. If you don't know, then take your lucky stars.
That's nobody's in voice chat selecting their favorite heroes and
or
finishing a game in 10 minutes.
Or the caster stack yelling at each other constantly. Shredlock goes down early though, not a great sign here. Okay, Hisu. Dalton's cranium goes a-rolling.
One thing you mentioned is that's going to be 3 for Hisu, make it 4. He's just hunting. You mentioned Fire being able to get the Titans out on the Lucio at times. It just seems like when we're on with Toronto, especially, they're just engaging onto the Titans so fast that the Titans don't even have enough time to react. Right there, I mean, Shredlock is dead before he can even move backwards. Shield is up, gets flashbang, just basically nuked down. That is a very fast take there for Toronto, setting themselves up tremendously to win the series.
What's insane about Sato's starter play is that he had the least deaths of Reinhardt players last year, despite the fact that, much like this, often he's holding that W key down. So blessed to be surrounded by very competent, supportive players Here's the Blizzard though. That's a Titans one. Charge out. Sato gets frozen regardless by the looks of things here. But still, most of the Defiant are able to weather the storm to a degree. Sato eventually goes down. It's a trade though. Dalton is missing. Teru needs to try and do some work here, but Ansun J is down and the Defiant are looking a little haggard.
Still though, they had to use Blizzard, which is huge. Blizzard and Ant Matrix. You got the sound barrier out from Toronto Defiant, but if you're Toronto, you can try and play like up for the high ground with Hisu and then drop low with the Blizzard. They kind of have to contest onto the point, right? They can't allow you to just get progress and try and end it that way.
A lot of time on the clock. 4 minutes, 43 seconds. 69.7% required to end the series. Shredlock Shatter here is absolutely on the cards. In fact, will be necessary, but he gets stunned for a time. Immortality Field is thrown up here. Hisu zoning with that Deadeye, and I mean that seriously. That's rules. Immortality Field goes down, but Fried gets himself too. Is it going to be enough though? Because Shredlock is already taken down, and Ansun J going wild on the point right now. Fried finds another kill, crucially. Keeps things going, and Hisu just has to back away. Not much he can do about the mech charging at him.
Toronto threw everything at that one. They lead up what they've been doing pretty much consistently. It's like the Deadeye with the speed boost. They try and get a shatter around it. Self-destruct. They end up using a Blizzard during that fight. They get absolutely nothing for all of those. Just ram their way up towards that high ground and got absolutely nothing. So maybe thinking Ant Matrix here with Hisu on the high ground. You're able to get a pick. That's a huge one though. Nice gets Teru from range as you lose your Mei really early. It's huge because you lose the Mei wall here. You can't block the Ant Matrix.
Yeah, and so now you have to try and line of sight it to some degree, and that's not going to work! Oh my! Sato with a double! It's the damage boosted fire strike, and it's basically curtains here for the Vancouver Titans. The Defiant move up. That's one tick for them now. That Mei wall, a little bit too late in the day for that, but Teru had no other choice. The sound barrier only given over to 4 players on the side of the Titans now as Shredlock tries to push forward. Here is that Blizzard from Teru. This will split the Defiant up to a degree. Friedwiener has lost his mech, but he is down now. Lastro picks him up. Dalton with a cheeky switch to the Widowmaker, but it does very little to help their presence on the point. Shredlock pushed back in the corner, stun on the Sato. He gets frozen. Good Mei wall there thrown up, so healing's not possible. They cut off Lastro, and so they cut off the lifeblood of the Defiant. Another hold for the Titans, but only just.
Oh, that felt like the double fire strike to the M-Matrix was the walk-off home run there for Toronto. As it looked like they were just going to cruise their way onto the point. You mentioned, though, Teru with a fantastic Mei wall there towards the end. Blocks any of the healing, also blocks Lastro's line of sight to even throw an Immortality Field there over towards Sato onto the point. So, big play from Teru. He does get picked off early, though, which allows him to get that tick.
And Matrices again, as often as the case with Batista's healing output in these fights. Shredlock down, which means a free shatter here for Sato. That yields a kill of Teru and a D-suit. Surely, Matt, surely this has to be it. With 2 minutes left in the round now, the Titans make their way to the point and, well, the Defiant rather, are successful. A little bit of a blip in map number 3, but the Defiant make it look pretty comfortable on Hanamura.
And I think the Titans put up a pretty good fight, even when we saw the Toronto Defiant with this roster in on map number 1. There were some close rounds of control, some close fights here on Hanamura. We saw the Titans put up a good fight. So, although with everybody's power rankings, the Titans kind of find themselves really down near the bottom. Not a lot of people talking about this team. They looked pretty good today. But Toronto was the one that gets the win. Toronto is a team that looks to have their best season they've ever had in the Overwatch.
No doubt about it. They look pretty darn good. In fairness, I'd say they're probably going up against, an opponent that is not rated very highly by many people. Very quickly, Matt. I mean, a lot of people are definitely putting Toronto in like their top 6. Brent has a 5th on his power rankings, just as an example. Do you feel like they can hang with those teams? Seeing what we've seen so far from, the Gladiators, the Shock, and such. Do they belong in that top echelon of North American Overwatch League teams?
I think they do. I think they're going to find themselves right in that conversation where they're a team on the cusp. Like, I think actually you kind of look at how we saw the Dallas Fuel play yesterday. It's like, could this Toronto team rise to the occasion and beat a team like the Fuel or take a team like the Outlaws? I think so. I think this Toronto team has that type of capability. So I would not be surprised if we get towards one of these, tournament qualifiers towards the end and they upset somebody, and they find themselves, moving on, maybe advancing a little bit further than people expected.
Yeah, I talked to a few Toronto fans in the off-season. They were all like, "Oh, my life is pain. Toronto fan is pain." And I thought, well, wait a minute. Like, these are great acquisitions for your team, and even some of the sort of lesser-known names, like Nice, for example. Maybe if you're not really in the weeds, and you're saying, "I get it," every 5 seconds. Maybe you don't know, what this player is sort of capable of. But he looks incredible. He opens up that last fight, of course, with some of those ice spikes. But the player of the match here, presented by Xfinity for the Toronto Defiant, has to be Hisu, because across the entirety of the series, this guy was a pressure machine, a trash compactor, if you will. He was so hard to deal with. He started off by just punishing Dalton time and time again as he tried to approach on Tracer and was constantly getting headshots.
Just so many different off angles, interesting plays from Hisu in this series. I thought you also could have potentially given it to Lastro. I thought Lastro had a very good series, but strong performance from Hisu, where he's going to be asked to be like the focal damage dealing player for this team for the whole year. Last year, you had a lot of help on the Philly Fusion with so many talented players on that team. This year, obviously with Nice and Logix, you have a good core around them. But he's really going to be that star player. They need to perform each and every game. And to start off this way, it looks good for Toronto.
This was the play that was kind of the understudy to Carpe on the Philadelphia Fusion and was sort of speculated as maybe his eventual successor. He goes over towards the Toronto Defiant and really feels like he gets let off the chain, right? Not often to see sort of a player that was acquired in an off-season, sort of be such a centerpiece, but that is the kind of player that Hisu is emerging as. And this is the kind of player that Hisu was hyped up to be by the Fusion. Even though he didn't really get to have that kind of season, he might now just really be considered a dominant DPS force. And I mean, we're glad to have another one here in the Overwatch League. I think the Titans show us some decent looks. I think their Gibraltar looks very solid. Fundamentally, they definitely look to be improved over last year, but they're dealing with some serious star power at the Toronto Defiant.
Well, I think the Titans, I think we talked about, our power rankings and just kind of where we rank teams in general. This Titans roster is, most certainly, I think, better than last year's. The issue is the rest of the league is upgraded so heavily over what they were last year. You look across the board and every team has shown improvements across the entire league. So although they may be better than last year, it's still going to be tough to find wins.
Yeah, much improved though, the Toronto Defiant with KDG at the helm and Sato and Hisu across from the Fusion. We're going to step aside for a moment. When we return, we're going to hear some victorious words from none other than Sato. So stick around and we'll see you in a moment.
The Overwatch League is brought to you by Xfinity, the preferred internet provider.
Well, I guess those breadsticks will have to wait for tomorrow when we go beat, oh my gosh, Florida Mayhem. That's who it is tomorrow. So, unfortunately, Vancouver wasn't able to take that last map there. Hanamura was a stupid map, whatever, who cares. But, I guess, on that map in particular, I did put my Wizard prediction hat on. I saw a lot of Symmetra played, I saw some Mei played, some Reinhardt. I don't know, how do I know it? I just don't know, but really, I'd say the biggest issue for Vancouver on that last map was obviously their first point defense. If you lose your first point defense instantly like that and have to hold last for like over 6 minutes, I don't care how good of a team you are. It is eventually you'll make these small slip-ups where the other team will get a push it on last there. But overall, I think it was a much better showing for Vancouver. For it being a first match, obviously it would have been nice to win it, but Toronto Defiant is definitely one of the stronger teams in the league, I think. And the fact that they took a map, the rest of the maps, there wasn't really the blowout. None of the maps, it's not like they just got hit in the mouth and, didn't have a chance to make it close. A lot of them, if a couple fights would have just gone a different way, or if someone wouldn't have got picked here, I think I could have seen them picking up, a map like Eichenwalde or something. But unfortunately, Hisu is kind of a beast. If I had to say probably an MVP of that match, I think I'd have to agree with Overwatch League. Hisu really seemed like he was getting just a constant stream of damage and picks onto either supports or the opposing team's DPS. But I would like to mention on Vancouver, a player who really stood out for me. Actually, there were two of them. The first one I'll say is definitely Fried Wiener. His Zarya on Gibraltar was a big part of why they won that map, I think. And then you saw on the end there on Hanamura, the amount of plays he was making with either his D.Va bombs or just surviving and keeping his teammates up. He was having a very good impact on D.Va, which is what I've always known to be better at. His D.Va, I've seen it plenty of times in ranked, in different matches. He's always going to have a very good D.Va. and that match was a continuation of that. It seemed like he was pretty in control there, as much as could be on it. And then the other player, I think, was Fire. Normally, if you don't notice your Lucio, that means they're doing fine. If you notice the Lucio, it probably means he's messing up. And the fact that I didn't notice him much, I'd say he had a pretty solid game overall. No weird NA beats, no dying early in fights, which Rolf also seemed to get better at that as it went on. Those first couple maps I talked about, it seemed like he was dying a little bit early, and that was causing them to lose some of the fights. Definitely on Gibraltar, and then on Hanamura there, it seemed like he was having a better time staying alive. But, like I said, unfortunately on Hanamura, if you lose that first defense instantly, it's always going to be a hard map. Even though they did, get 2 ticks on their offense, which for Hanamura isn't bad. Getting ticks on last against the May, I'll take that any day of the week. But the fact that they had to hold it for 6 minutes, that's just always going to be a tough one to win. So unfortunately, Toronto did come on top that match, but like I said, overall, I was definitely very impressed with how Vancouver did. Their new roster, obviously it's still like half the roster is new. They're still like going to be tweaking on, I think, what they're going to run where and everything. And I definitely did also like seeing the Teru May. I know it seems like Linkser is more their hit scan specialist for it. And then on the maps where May is good, like Hanamura or some of the others, I'd expect to see Teru in on a lot of them again. So he seemed like he had a pretty good impact on that too. The big things I think they need to work on, though, is just staying alive in some of these fights early. Like the fact that it seems like Shredlock is going down a bit early in a lot of these fights also, or he's just taking way too much damage where his supports are having to like put way too much healing in them to keep him up. So it's all stuff that can be fixed. The talent is there. Like I can see the talent on Vancouver. In fact, that all those maps were close. Tomorrow I could see them beating Florida, but that will be another tough match. Florida's roster is definitely looking pretty strong this season too, but hey, you'll have to tune in tomorrow to see that, which will be at also 3 p.m. Pacific. So a few hours later than today, which is good for me. Gives me more time to sleep in. Oh wait, what was that? Oh, is that what it is? 11:30 PST? 1:30 PST. I just lied to you all. 1:30, not as late, still later, which again is good for me because getting up this early is weird, but that works out. And lost a lot of fights when they got the first pick. I will agree with that also. It seemed like not as much on Hanamura, but on some of the other maps that was definitely the case. And that's normally the sign of like a newer team. Once you get that first pick, a lot of teams like get antsy and they're like, okay, we have this fight. And they kind of like let their foot off the gas or don't like coordinate as much as they need to. I have a bad habit of doing that also in ranked, but the fact that Toronto was able to bring back a lot of those fights in like 5-on-6 situations is very impressive from them. I'd say it's a bit of column A of probably Vancouver not being as coordinated and not slowing us down as much as they should be there, and a bit of column B of Toronto just playing that really well to bring back those fights. But let's see. I have a bit of time to read from you guys. We'll take a couple minutes here before I think we'll call it here. But overall, for a first one of me being here, this all going on, I thought I had a fun time. Hopefully you guys all enjoyed hanging out here. I know, unfortunately, we don't have token drops over here like Overwatch League, but we got plenty of other cool things here. So, tomorrow, it'll just keep getting better. We've worked on it more. And what would have happened if they played Junk? What, on Hanamura? They would have lost. At this level, Junkrat he's way too much of a situational pick. And even though Junkrat is okay on Hanamura, definitely against Toronto, they would have just probably got bopped. Because the way you have to look at it is, there's only 2 DPS you can have at a time, and which one would you swap out? Would you swap out the May, which is like one of the best heroes on Hanamura period, or do you swap out the McCree, which you always need that like hit scan range? So really, even though Junkrat is a good pick, the way I've always said is you need to look at what is the best pick. And right there, I think May McCree is just the best pick there. Sure, there's other options they could have gone, but ultimately, especially Hanamura, really, I just say came down to that first defense for Vancouver. And it sucks to pinpoint it to like one play like that, but on Hanamura, if you don't get a first hold, like, it's always going to be a hard match. You think Teru Linkser could have won Hanamura? I would like to see that lineup at some point also. I don't know if Vancouver's ever going to run that. And Dalton's a good player also, don't get me wrong, but Linkser was very impressive that match. And I've said, like, Linkser is a big confidence player. If he's feeling it and starts off, like, hitting his shots early, which he was on that first Busan, he seemed like he was playing pretty well there. If anything, he seemed like he was doing a bit more than Dalton was. I would be curious to see how that lineup goes. Now, it did look like from the player cams, I think Dalton was doing a decent amount of shot calling, so I'm not sure if he's one of their callers also, and that's why he's constantly in, or if just Linkser, you know, if that's just what they've decided on going with. I can't say for sure more on that, but overall, I definitely think they keep Teru on the Mei. They seemed a bit better than Linkser's was, so I'm pretty sure anytime Mei's played, you'll see Teru in, and then some combination of Dalton or Linkser. What about Hanzo? Hanzo is another one of those heroes where he can be good, especially good on Hanamura. He's just like a less consistent McCree in some situations, though. And then a big part of why you would normally want to run Hanzo is for his ult. Because obviously High Noon's terrible. High Noon is like press Q to die. But Hanzo ult also isn't that good in the current meta, just because Baptiste has played so much. There's so much survivability that your ult just can't kill anything. So I don't think it was a team comp issue. I think it just came down to a few fights. Just people got picked off when they shouldn't have. It seemed like, again, Vancouver got over antsy in some of them, where even if they were up 1, they rushed it too much and got picked back off. A lot of this stuff is stuff that looks like it could be fixed up with like some VOD review and some practice for like next week. So a lot of these little issues I imagine will be cleaned up, but overall, again, I think it was a pretty good show. It would have been nice to get the win, but that's life. But other than that, am I only covering this game? Yes, I am. So I'm like pretty much gonna be doing every Vancouver Titans match this season. So if you guys want to watch whatever next match, I don't even know who it is. I don't even care who it is. You can't watch it here. You got to go watch it somewhere else. But like I said, I will be back here tomorrow, 1:30 Pacific, so a bit later than today's, for the match against Florida Mayhem. That should be another good one. Can't go wrong with that. Are there any other closing notes or statements I should be making, producers? All right, they said Force the Nature's the hashtag. Follow us on all the channels. Follow me too. You know, whatever. Other than that, I think that's gonna be it for us for the day, and I will see you guys all again tomorrow. That was a good first one to start with. Tomorrow's should be even better. Thank you guys all for tuning in, watching, and I'll see people tomorrow.
Treadlock now into the back line and gets with both support.
Over the top, gets a double.
And here's a coalescence from the high ground for Rolfman. Wow, the timing on that one looks so good.
Really.
Still, the fire gets 2. That is crazy. Time and a great stick from Dal. That's 3 from him.